All right. Welcome back to the Retro Review Crew.
Hello, everybody.
I am Matt.
I am Travis. Long time no talkie.
Oh my goodness, man! Has to be close to a year.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Wow. Absolutely. Wow. We finally made it here.
Yes.
We are finally back for. Can you believe it or not? This is our 9th game that we reviewed.
Oh, come up to double digits soon.
4 years, 9 games.
That's right.
A lot of miles.
Oh my gosh, yeah, a lot of miles and a lot of memories, my friend.
Yes, a lot. So today we are reviewing, as you heard from last episode, we are doing Donkey Kong Country 3.
That's right.
And this
Double trouble
concludes. That's right. This concludes the original Donkey Kong Country series.
Yes.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. To think that we went through and have now done all 3 of them, unlocked everything. It's pretty awesome. Honestly, if we didn't do this, I probably never would have gone back and beaten 2. And I don't know if I've ever even played 3 before we started on this, so I would have missed out on all that. So it's been a crazy journey.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, just think, like, none of the games we're ever going to play Donkey Kong related will ever have this engine ever again.
I know, it's crazy. And to think of just how, key to so many points in our childhoods and everything that I think about these games, and particularly the first one, obviously, because that's the only one that I ever owned myself.
Yes.
But yeah, all of them, really, they just kind of played, and leveled onto each other and just kept taking the series forward. It's pretty crazy to think that we'll never play another Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country game.
Yeah, it's almost it's kind of sad too in a way, because these games were really fun and they were challenging.
Oh yeah,
and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
a lot of swear words.
Yes, that's right.
A lot of expletives.
A lot of late nights of, come on, just one more try. I can beat this level.
Exactly. I got this.
It's 3:30 in the morning, and we gotta get going soon. But hey, we got that one last try, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But
yes.
So Travis, why don't you tell me back in 1996? Because this is when the game came out. What is your history with Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble?
Well, it's funny because it's a game that I'm not sure, I was always aware of. We're talking 96, we're getting kind of right at the end of the Super Nintendo's, life of getting in new games and everything. And I never had owned this certainly, but I had a friend that I think owned a copy of it. I always confuse it with this, or whether it was the second one. But I remember coming over and playing it and just thinking, wow, this game this series has changed a lot since I used to play the first one all the time. But it was fun. It was interesting. Just a very different feel to it, a much more open feel than I felt like in the first game, where I felt like everything was more linear from stage to stage. In this game, there was choices. You could go to different places. I mean, a lot of it is still pretty linear, but I don't know, just the world map and everything, it just had a different feel to me. So it stood out, and it seemed like, okay, they were really advancing things from where I'd started. So played it a little bit, probably died a bunch, and that was that. So here we are many, many years later. And yeah, I got to really experience it and really enjoy it now. How about you?
That is awesome. So, as you know, as a kid, I loved 1, I loved 2, and then when 3 came out, it was right around the time the N64 came out.
Right, and I think that's what overshadowed. I mean,
you kind of mentioned it. It was right at the end of the lifespan. To be honest, the actual release date for this game was November 18th, 1996.
Okay.
That's a key date because the N64 was hitting, the Christmas. That's when I believe it came out. It was like right around that same time.
That's when we got ours, so I think it was right about that point too, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so Super Nintendo games were not really as much we were thinking about. We were all obsessed with just getting the N64.
Correct.
The hot new thing.
That's right. And so this game, I feel like not only that got, way overshadowed. It's like, why would I need to go backwards? I mean, Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 were just amazing.
Right.
And this is coming out like right at the end, and it doesn't even have Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong.
Right.
So I honestly, I just like didn't even like ask for it for Christmas or anything. I'm like, no, let's fast forward to this N64,
Yeah, and
I was done with the Super Nintendo as far as like that goes. Unfortunately, it was a dumb choice by me, but that's just how you think about.
Oh, absolutely.
How you think.
I mean, when you're a kid, especially you're thinking of that, and it's like, and like you said, Diddy, you didn't have Donkey Kong, you didn't have Diddy Kong as playable characters, and that was the thing too. Is like. It was, I think, looking back, that was another reason why I wasn't as interested, because I was such a big fan of Donkey and Diddy.
Yes.
And I wasn't getting either of them. I was already disappointed that we lost Donkey in the second quest.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, Dixie was great, but
yes.
I was sad that I didn't get Donkey Kong. So I think that actually played a pretty big part into why I decided why I wasn't super interested. That, and of course the fact that the N64 was coming out with all that, and I was like, well, they'll probably make a Donkey Kong Country for the N64 at some point. Possible spoilers for the future. I'll just wait till then.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on why I didn't. I guess I was not. I didn't really want the game or didn't need it. So I just really had no inkling to get this game, basically.
Yeah.
This game was very overshadowed, obviously.
Timing.
But I will say this, though. It's not like I was a complete stranger to this. My neighbor had this game, and I was watching him play it. So I did get to see some gameplay of it. But what really confused me at the time was he was playing some of the levels from the first world, and that was kind of looking... They were looking a little too cartoony to me, and it just it kind of justified my reason at the time for not buying the game, because it just did not look like the Donkey Kongs that I was used to. Because 2 was very like darker, I would say.
Sure.
And 3 was like kind of, I don't know, like almost cartoony, but that was only because I was looking at the first world, and plus I saw the whole like jet ski, system that they had going on.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that was strange too. Initially.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely did not give this game a fair shake at all. I kind of just tossed it aside. So
yeah.
Yep.
Well, luckily we both, realized our mistake and eventually came around.
That's exactly right. So I'm glad we finally got to play it all these years later.
Yes.
And
it was worth the wait.
It was, and it's too bad I did skip it, but hey. We got to do it when we were in our 30s.
Absolutely. So I don't think I would have been ready to try to beat it as a kid at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, why don't I'm going to read a little quick intro about this game, kind of...
set the scene.
Yeah, just kind of the development and the release of it. Development of Dixie Kong's Double Trouble began shortly after the release of Diddy Kong's Quest, utilizing the same silicon graphics and advanced computer modeling rendering technology as its predecessors, in which pre-rendered 3D animations are turned into 2D sprites. Rare founder Tim Stamper retook the role as the game's director, whereas Rare staffers Andrew Collard and Paul Weaver designed the game. The game's soundtrack was composed by Evelyn Fisher, with additional tracks by series composer David Wise, and Fisher producing most of the game's music. Dixie Kong's Double Trouble was first released in North America on November 18th, 1996, and Europe and Australia on December 13th, 1996. It was also made available to download on the Wii's Virtual Console service in 2007, as well as for the Wii U's Virtual Console in 2014. It was later released on the Nintendo Switch via Nintendo Switch Online service on December 18th, 2020.
Yes.
While the game sold over 3.5 million units worldwide, it has been suggested that its sales were hurt by its November release which was when Nintendo 64 console was popular after its September launch.
Oh, gotcha.
So 1.7 million copies were sold in Japan and 1.12 million copies sold in the United States. A port was later released for the Game Boy Advance in November 2005, which includes a new soundtrack composed by Wise. The team originally had a vague hope to have both the original and the new soundtrack in that version, but this proved unfeasible due to cartridge and time constraints.
Sure. I was going to say, that's a lot to try to put on the Game Boy Advance.
That's exactly right. The game also included an unlockable Christmas theme for the bonus levels.
Oh, that's cool.
By entering Mary on the file select screen, the stars and bananas will be changed to bells and presents, and the background music will change to Christmas music.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Wow.
Having never played the Game Boy Advance version.
Yeah, wow, that is kind of cool. So, one quick thing I want to make note there is in Donkey Kong Country 3, you will notice the music sounds similar in ways, but it's missing something, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And we just talked about it. David Wise really wasn't involved in this. I think he did like one song for this whole game.
Yeah, not like the other ones.
Yeah, the other ones he was all over it.
Yeah, I feel like the other ones had a very more like atmospheric kind of feel to it.
They did. This one was like more like sound effects kind of.
Yeah.
More straightforward, I would say, and it grew on me as the game went on.
I agree. They kind of got stuck in my head after a while, even though there's no lyrics.
I mean, Evelyn Fisher did a good job. I mean, I'm not going to discredit her. She's just a different style than David Wise. I really love David Wise, though. Sticker Bush Symphony is like one of the greatest video game songs of all time. So
yeah, so much good stuff.
Yes, so David Wise, it's hard to replace him, but I think Evelyn Fisher did a good job. As far as this goes, and we'll talk about it later, I just don't know if the soundtrack is as good as the first two.
Yeah,
but
it's enjoyable.
It is enjoyable,
and it does, like you said, it grows on you after time.
It does, and we can't forget the Flying Cheeto music. Wow.
I love it. It's got a strong twang to it.
That is some good stuff. So,
yes.
All right. So to kind of start off this game, we need a storyline, right? So
I think we do.
I mean,
I would hope we have.
Yes. One. We talked about it after the end of Donkey Kong Country 2 when you beat King K. Rool, that he kind of escaped again on a pirate on a ship again.
Yes.
So all right. So I'm going to read the basically the setting for this. So. All right, bear with me. There's a lot of text here, so.
Yes.
All right. So, trouble again. Months after their victory against King K. Rool and his army of baddies, the Kongs were still celebrating, soaking up the sun in their favorite glade on DK Island. Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong often slung up hammocks, hit the music, and spent the day chilling out with banana milkshakes.
That's what I'd do.
If she couldn't think of anything better to do, Dixie Kong sometimes joined them.
Sure.
Right, and she should have. This morning, though, Dixie was surprised to find Diddy's room deserted. Up and about so early? That wasn't like him. It was only as she turned to leave that she spotted the scribbled note on the table. Gone exploring the islands with DK, it read. Back tomorrow. Dixie could remember at least 3 times that they'd already tried this plan. Each time they'd never made it further than the beach. That's where she first went looking for them. She realized well before she got to the beach that it was far too quiet for Donkey and Diddy to be anywhere near. Surely they hadn't followed one of their harebrained schemes all the way through for once. The sun moved slowly across the sky and melted on the western horizon. Dixie hoped that her friends were having fun wherever they were as she settled into bed with a yarn. When morning came again, another brief swing through the branches confirmed that Diddy was still off on his little expedition. Dixie found herself starting to worry. She could only imagine what kind of trouble Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong were into. As the day crawled on and the night fell on the jungle, neither of the primates showed up. Again, Dixie could do nothing but head home to bed and hope that they'd be back by dawn. The next day came, but neither Donkey nor Diddy returned. Dixie had to find out what those two primates were doing. She made her way to the southern part of DK Island and swam to the nearest mainland. When she got there, she happened upon Wrinkly Kong's home. Wrinkly Kong told Dixie that the boys had passed by, but they hadn't said where they were going. She suggested that maybe the boys visited Funky Kong at his beach shop.
I would. He's a cool guy.
He is. As Dixie was leaving, Wrinkly asked if she'd look for the mysterious banana birds. The birds have been seen in the cave across from Funky's rentals, but no one seems to know how to get them out. Dixie agreed and thanked Wrinkly for her help. She set out to see Funky at his shop. Funky Kong was busy working on one of his inventions, and his shop was full of unusual items. He can find a use for anything that he gets his hands on. Funky told Dixie that the only visitor he's had all week was Kitty Kong. Funky pointed across the room to the cuddly toddler. The
cuddly toddler?
The cuddly toddler, thank you.
Or the cuddly coddler.
That's right. Who was chewing on an old spare tire. Funky asked Dixie if she wanted to take Kitty with her. He's strong and can take good care of himself. Dixie agreed, and the two were off. Before they left, Funky told them to keep their eyes peeled for some cool junk. He also told them to visit his friendly pals, the Brothers Bear, for help.
Yes.
Once on their travels, Dixie and Kitty discover a whole new collection of Kremlings who seem to have a new master named Chaos.
Foreshadowing, perhaps?
That is right. So, all right. Well, that's the storyline that sets up the game. So why don't we dive in? Like, what do we do once we got this story? So
yeah. So I guess and really it takes you to the very beginning of the game itself, because the first thing you do when you start the game is you are playing as Dixie by herself. Mm-hmm. You can go to the save cave. That's where you'll see Wrinkly, where she, of course, would give the information that, they passed through, but Dixie and Donkey, they're not out and about. We don't know where they are. And then you go over to see Funky, and Funky introduces you to Dixie's cousin, Little Kitty Kong. Well, not so little. Big Kitty Kong. And that's how you get started. So it's kind of interesting how they pull that part at the end of the narrative there with the beginning of the game, in that there's a little bit of overlap. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yes, I do like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get Dixie and Kitty, who are the stars of this one.
Yes.
So Dixie's moves are she brings back the helicopter spin, which is obviously always useful.
Absolutely.
She has the throw, which she uses her hair to throw the barrels. Then she has the swim. She has run. She has climb. And then she can also team up. If Kitty throws Dixie upwards, she can reach places that are out of the normal jump range. If Dixie throws Kitty upwards, she can steer him to drop down and smash fragile holes. Rolling. If Dixie throws Kitty against a wall, then jumps on him before he stops moving, she can ride him as if he were a steel barrel.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing that I often forgot about.
Yeah, I don't think we used that, maybe once. I can't even...
But it's something that I'm sure can make, some situations easier. Or just fun,
Yes.
Riding Kitty around sounds like a good old time for Dixie there. Yeah. But she plays pretty much like she did in DK2.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any subtle switches, but I feel like her moves are all pretty much the same.
Yes, and just says that her biography says Dixie Kong is in the starring role as she quests across the islands in search of her friends. She has terrific adventuring abilities as she navigates tough terrain with her helicopter spin.
Yes.
So, Kitty Kong. Kitty Kong's bio is Kitty's a portly toddler with lots of power. He can reveal secret areas by breaking down doors and smashing the ground. He's much like Donkey and Diddy Kong in the way he seems to get into trouble all the time.
Sure. I could see that. I mean,
yes.
At first glance, I remember always seeing him and thinking, okay, he's basically Donkey Kong. But it is interesting that they say that he's like Donkey and Diddy in some ways, because he holds his barrel kind of like Diddy would hold his in two.
Yes.
Well, and one. Right in front of him. Well, Dixie always, like you mentioned, holds her barrel above her head. Well, on her hair.
Yeah.
And in the first game, that's how Donkey held his, was over his head. He didn't use his hair, just his hands, but he held it up and above. Which means sometimes you'd have to think a little differently of how you were going to use it and which Kong you might want to hold the barrel for the task at hand.
Correct. And Kitty's moves are, his famous move is the roll.
Absolutely.
Which you definitely need to use in some water levels, which that's where it comes into handy. I feel like in the beginning more so than the end, though. I feel like we didn't really have to use that.
Yeah, like the water, like jumping the water jump where you can roll and hit the water, and if you time your right when you hit the surface of the water, another jump, and you can bounce off the water.
Which is really useful in some ways. Yep.
And I think that early on and earlier in the game you use it more late. When you get closer to the end, I feel like it's kind of phased out as far as it being something you need to use. But sometimes I still catch myself randomly doing it just out of habit.
Yeah. I mean, once you get it down, you got it down. But it does take a bit. It's a tricky move to do.
Yeah, the timing is just a little bit to get used to. But once you do, it's fun to do.
Yes, exactly.
Get in the rhythm.
So Kitty Kong's other moves are throw, jump, swim, run, and climb, just like Dixie's right there. So pretty similar there. So let's talk about the Kong family and then the animal friends that you're going to meet throughout. You got Funky, who comes back, and this time he's got his own shop. Yeah, and you can use him for free. So that's great. You don't have to pay like you did in the second game.
Yeah. It's nice that he's, helping out, working pro bono.
Yes.
All that good stuff.
That's right. Then you got Wrinkly. She's back with Wrinkly's Safe Cave.
Yes.
She stays at home this time, exercising, watching TV, and playing video games.
Yes,
Stop by for a visit, and she'll save your game.
That's right. And oftentimes you'll see her playing the just recently released at that time N64.
That's exactly right.
A little advertisement there.
That was pretty cool.
Yes.
Then when Swanky is back, his show's on the road now. Play the throwing game to win top quality prizes.
And by that we mean banana coins and bananas.
Yes.
Or not banana coins, that's not a thing. I'm sorry, bear coins.
Bear coins and
then more bananas.
Yep. And then when Cranky is back, he's your opponent in the throwing game. Cranky has the chance to prove he's number one. So
yes,
a little different pace for good old Cranky.
Yeah, mixing it up.
So the animal friends, we got some new ones and we got some old ones, but let's go through them. Animal friends, Ellie the elephant. The hefty young herbivore can use her trunk to pick up and shoot barrels at enemies. She can also suck barrels toward her if they are out of reach. Ellie has the ability to suck up water, which she uses to shoot at the baddies. I felt like Ellie was used quite often in this game, and you do need to use her for not only levels but bonus levels too.
Yes.
So
she's got a lot of different things that she can do. A lot of different quirks about her too, like how she's afraid of the rat characters, the squeakers, how she sees them and she goes running for the hills. Yeah. But at the same time, her ability to suck up barrels and hold them, and then the water thing, which when we realized what you could do with that, was pretty darn helpful.
Yes, we did not learn that until maybe the third or fourth level.
I think so.
Well, maybe not that far, but it was a while. I know that because I don't think we were using that move too often.
Right. But very helpful. She's a cool character. She's kind of slow.
Yes.
She doesn't move particularly fast.
Not as rewarding as Rambi is when he's running into the...
Yeah, and hitting enemies with his horn and bouncing off of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of miss Rambi not being in this game, but Ellie is very useful.
She is. She is.
Yeah, so I didn't mind her. I liked her. She was... always helpful.
That's right. So returning is Ungard the Swordfish.
Oh my gosh, yes. Gotta love Ungard. I believe he's been in all three of them.
I believe he has, yep.
One of the few.
If you caught Ungard in a previous adventure, you know he's a keeper.
Oh, yeah.
Using his incredible swimming ability and his sharp bill to knock out enemies, Ungard is a great friend to have on your side.
Absolutely.
So one of the interesting things about this game, too, is in some of the levels you have half land, half water.
Yeah.
Which has never really been done before in a Donkey Kong Country game. So you do see Ungard in some of those levels, and it's just kind of a different atmosphere, I guess, for him. So.
Yeah, I would agree. And I really enjoy having Ungard whenever you're underwater. It just makes you feel like you're practically invincible.
Pretty much.
Especially when you charge up and do like the charge and then thing where you go flying at high speed.
That is always funny.
Taking things out left and right. Yeah, I think Ungard is probably the most fun one to play as far as just being able to just take out enemies left and right.
Exactly. And there are times when you need to get something very quick and you have to move that, or you have to use that move.
You do, yeah. And it really goes fast and covers a lot of distance, so it's always handy.
That's right. So then we got Squawks the Parrot. He's back again.
Oh, yes.
I believe... Has he been in all three? Because I know in the first game,
so.
He was only in one level.
Yes, and I think is that the one we had like the light?
The light.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then in the second one, he had more of a role, and in this one, we use him quite a bit.
Yes.
His ability to shoot like the nuts or whatever he shoots out at stuff.
Oh gosh.
Invaluable. Plus, flying is always good.
Animal Antics from number 2, I believe it was. Oh my goodness, you had to really be a pro with him. Yeah. But Squawks the Parrot, he can fly, but he's no lightweight. The egg-spitting Squawks returns from previous adventures to lift Dixie Kong and Kitty Kong to higher ground. Nice. Squawks has relatives who can pick up barrels with their claws bomb the baddies below.
Yes, which was fun too. I love dropping the barrels and stuff.
That was fun. Yeah, Squawks was good in this game. He did a lot of levels. You had to use them, and but I didn't find it as like there were challenging levels, but at least there was no wind gust to push you into the vines.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So that was nice.
Absolutely, yeah. More fun when you would get him in this one, because in the second game, a lot of times when I got him, I'm like, oh gosh, what are they going to put me through now?
Yes, exactly.
So many vines. Yes.
Yeah. So the next one is another returning one, Squitter the Spider. He's a blast from the past. Squitter returns to shoot his webs, which can take out most baddies with ease. His web platforms create stepping stones across gaps that would normally be impassable.
Yes. So he is probably, I have to say, my favorite as far as what he gives.
Yes.
He gives you like the ability to just directly attack everything from a distance with his webs, which is so nice. Being able to create those webs too, and being able to go to all kinds of areas that you really wouldn't be able to go to.
Yes.
It's just huge. It really makes you kind of think about, okay, where are the people, in the game trying to hide something that I might be able to get to with him?
Yes, and he was a part of like one of the toughest levels in 2, but in 3, I know I had one of the most trouble with the one where you had to basically the homing missile one.
Oh, yes, one of the factory ones.
Yes, you have to play as Squitter the Spider and use him the whole level, and it's a tough level, so you got to really be good with him.
Yeah,
or else you're gonna have a tough time like I did. So
yeah, it's tough, absolutely.
And then one of the other new animal friends that joined this game is Perry the Parallel Bird.
Yes.
This fellow is never too far away and helps you collect out-of-reach items. Once you release Perry, he will follow you from above, collecting items.
He's a fun one, but he's also becomes later on a necessary one if you're trying to get all 103%.
Yes.
He's interesting, too, in that when you get him, he's the only one that I can think of that doesn't replace... your Kongs don't go away and you don't just take over like that animal. He just goes on top of your head, basically.
Yes. Just goes on top of your head, and there's like levels designed that you have to basically to have your jumps like perfectly almost. Yeah.
Right, which is a cool idea. I do like it quite a bit, although sometimes it would be easy to get so focused on what you're doing that you kind of forgot that it was there and you jump into something and lose him. So.
Yes.
It does make you have to think and be aware of your surroundings, not just what's in front of you, but what's up above you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, we got the Kremling baddies. I'm not going to go into detail with all of them. Just going to name them, and if you want to make a comment, feel free.
Yeah.
But we got Kabul. He's the standard Kremling baddie.
Sure. You got to have your regular guys, your grunts.
Yes. We got Crimp. He's kind of the one that kind of almost replaces the chomping one from the first.
Oh, yeah, the claptraps.
Yep, the claptraps, yep. We got Crumble. He's the big blue one.
Oh, yes, the one looks like he's on steroids.
Steroids, yes. We got your favorite, Copter.
Oh, my gosh. Still have nightmares about those guys.
Yes. We got the Kuchaka, who's a cowardly character who hides in his barrel throwing bombs. Very nasty.
Oh, yeah. Those guys were such pains.
They were. We got Clasp. He's basically the same as Kuchaka, but he climbs the ropes.
Yes.
And kind of goes back and forth.
There's a couple stages where those are really annoying.
Yeah.
Because you really have to be able to time your jumps good to not get hit by one of them.
Exactly. Then we got Recoil. He's the springy, basically the springy Kremlin.
Oh, yeah, the orange guys.
Yes. Then we have Bazooka, who doesn't do a lot, but he just kind of fires barrels at you.
Yeah.
You have to use him strategically in some levels. Generally, when he's placed somewhere, it's either to usually find a bonus.
Yeah.
But sometimes it leads to some nice items or something that you need to basically advance in the level. So.
Right.
Then we got Ellie the Elephant's, unfortunately, nemesis here, Sneak.
Yes.
Sneaky rat baddie.
Yes. Oh, my gosh, yeah. Unfortunately, Ellie does not care for them and will run away.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Then we got Bristles. He's the hedgehog baddie. Yeah. You have to beat him with a roll attack. And it has to be from the front. That's right. You can't do it from behind.
And honestly, I remember when I would encounter those guys, especially early on before I kind of figured out what you had to do with them, I didn't really know what to do. Yes. So I was so afraid to come in contact with them at all because I figured they were like a porcupine that would just instantly kill me.
Kill you, yeah.
But it's like more of a thing where you just have to know what you need to do to take them out and always just roll in the front and you're good to go with Kitty there.
That's right. Then we had Buzz, who was he can come in green or red. If he's green, you can kill him. If he's red, you can't, unfortunately. Yeah, so there's good old Buzz. Yep. Then we got Swoopy. He's the woodpecker that kind of flies down at you, but then usually gets stuck in the tree. Doesn't really... he can be dangerous, but you don't see him a ton.
Right.
And usually you use him strategically as well to jump on.
Yes, I was just going to say you can use him to get up to higher levels. You just have to make sure you don't take the hit when he's coming over, because it's easy to do if you're not paying attention. But yeah, those are usually a sign of something secret nearby.
That's right. Then we got Coco, the colorful clownfish that patrols the waters on DK Island.
Good old Coco.
Then we got Nibla.
Oh my gosh, yes, Nibla.
Nibla is, can you kill Nibla? I don't know if we found that out with Ungard.
I
think you
could. That's a good question.
I think I did it towards one of the later episodes, or later levels.
Yeah.
And I think you could. But I know for the most part, we try to avoid him.
Right.
Then you also have Bounty Bass. He was the one that kind of like the puffer fish.
Oh, gotcha. Yes.
So some of them he could actually provide light to. So.
Yeah, there was ones that were called Gleaming Breams.
Yes.
Which basically, if you poke them with Unguard, they made the area lighter because there is a stage where everything's like pitch black.
Yes.
And makes it very hard to see.
It was an interesting concept, I will say that.
Yeah.
And then you also had Coin. So this guy I saved for last only because of how kind of different this was from Donkey Kong Country 2. This defensive baddie will protect the DK coin at all costs.
Yeah.
The steel barrel is the only thing that will defeat Coin. So
yeah.
So that's very interesting how they added an enemy to guard the DK coins. I felt like the DK coins in this game were a lot easier to find. It was just some of the things that were tricky was figuring out how to get the barrel to get rid of him.
I agree.
So you could get the DK coin.
Right, because you need to take one of the steel ones, and you need to figure out how to hit him in the back. You can't hit him straight forward, or you have to be in a different level of height or make him look a different way so that when that steel keg comes through, it hits him in the back. Or in the front, actually, as long as his shield's not in the way, to get the coin. So that was a kind of a puzzle that you'd have to figure out in every stage. Early on, it's really straightforward. Later on, you have to get a little more creative. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a good, interesting feature. I know in 2 that the DK coins were just kind of in random locations. In this one, with them all being kind of straightforward, it's helpful, but because there's plenty of other random stuff you're looking for still. But yeah, I think it's just a little different, for better and for worse sometimes. But I enjoyed the puzzles. It was fun. It's very satisfying when you finally figure out what you need to do to get the coin.
Oh,
you have
gosh.
to throw it, or what you have to reflect it off
Yes.
of, or whatever.
A few come to mind where they were very interesting. I don't think we would have ever figured those out, by ourselves. But that's what YouTube and the guides are for.
Yes.
So.
And sometimes just dumb luck. Sometimes you just throw it a certain way, and you're like, oh, okay. Oh, that's what I needed to do. Okay.
Yep. That's right.
So, yeah, you just kind of roll with it.
So then we had some new characters. They were called the Brothers Bear.
Yeah.
This time, in addition to being helped by the Kongs and your animal buddies, you can call on the services of the Brothers Bear, who live in cabins all around the world and subworlds. There are 13 of these friendly characters, and each one of them offers you something totally different.
Yeah.
So you got Bazaar. The shopkeeper of the island has many goods for sale at a price. You got Barnacle. This guy runs the gift shop. He drives a hard bargain, so be prudent with your spending. Sometimes it's worth spending a little extra for a necessity. You got Brash. He's big, he's bad, and he's got an attitude to match. Kongs beware. You got Blunder. He tries to be sarcastic, but gives secrets to the players accidentally. Then you got Blue. His name says it all. He's a very unhappy bear. Can you cheer him up?
I don't know.
Then you got Brigadier Bazooka. Brigadier Bazooka is an old army veteran of the Crimean War. Okay.
Well,
interesting. Crimean War. Could we have a prequel there?
I don't know, maybe.
Then you got Blizzard. He's trying to scale K3.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yep. And then you got Bramble. Bramble's the name. Botany's the game. This bear just loves flowers.
He does. He's a botany man, my friend.
Botanies, yeah. Benny and Bjorn. These two identical twins run the ski lifts on the mountain.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
I remember those fellas quite well.
Yes. And then you got Barter. This cheeky bear just borrows and swaps items as he needs them. And then you got Baffle. Baffle loves codes and spends days at a time trying to decipher them. And then finally we got Boomer. He holds the secret to the lost world, but you have to find him first.
Yes.
So,
and then he wants those cogs.
Yes. So the bears I thought were interesting playing throughout the game.
They definitely were a different element. They had a lot more interaction than other games did, where you wouldn't be stopping in constantly just to say hi to a random NPC.
Yes.
So it was interesting because you're always thinking, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to interact with them? What do they need? In a couple of cases, you can trade all these certain bear coins for items and things like that, which was an interesting new mechanic. But yeah, you didn't really know what to do. You interacted with them. Hopefully they gave you something you needed. And when you got stuck, you just kind of tried to use your noggin to figure out, what does this one want? What do I need to get for them? Or, what is their hint telling me? So yeah, just a couple of extra pieces of a puzzle there.
Yes, and some of them I couldn't really tell, if there was a bigger storyline with them at first.
Right.
I almost thought okay, because you didn't really know who the bad guy was, unlike the other two games at first.
Yeah, you just know it's some random thing called Chaos early on, yeah.
And I was like wondering, are the bears part of the bad guys? Because we've never seen them before, so they had a big mystery about them.
Are they running? Are they shady? Are they doing something behind the scenes we didn't know?
Right. And Rare. This is kind of the love for the Bears started taking off because their next big game was Banjo and Kazooie.
That's right.
So
another game that I've never really played. But
no, that'll be coming at some point. I've always wanted to play those games.
Absolutely.
So,
well, it's on the Switch Online if you
it
have
is.
that.
It's also on the Rare Replay.
Yeah, so there's options. Mm-hmm. If you're not one of the lucky ones to have the original cartridge, which I am not, there's other ways to play it.
I don't think I have that one either, actually, now that you mention it. But
yeah.
Let's talk about the banana birds.
Let's do that.
As you progress through the quest, you'll find banana birds. Once rescued, these mystical birds will fly to the save cave where Wrinkly Kong looks after them.
Yes, she loves those banana birds.
They're a big part of the game, actually, so you definitely want to collect them all.
Yes, they're key if you want to get the best ending.
Yes. So let's talk about the treasure and items. You got the DK coin, that's returning.
Yes.
You got bananas, that's returning. You got the no animal sign, that just basically means you'll get a prize once you return the animal back. Mm-hmm. You got the extra life balloons, same thing. The red ones are 1, the green ones are 2, and the blue ones are 3.
Yep, and they've kind of changed their way they look slightly, so they look more like Dixie now.
Yes, they look like Dixie.
Where in the other games, obviously in the first one, they look more like Donkey Kong, and in the second one, look more like Diddy.
That's right. That's right. The Kong letters are back, so you can earn extra lives, but don't worry, that doesn't count with the 103% like it hasn't in the first 2.
Yeah, this is strictly just getting extra lives if you want to.
That's right. Another one that's returning is the bonus coins.
Oh,
so you get those after you win the bonus, the hidden secret in the bonus game inside the secret. So
and that plays a big part, of course, in getting the Lost Worlds and everything.
Yes, and some of those bonuses are even tougher than the levels themselves. So
oh yeah, some of them will make you pull your hair out at times. Especially because some of them you can, if you fail them, you don't lose a life or anything. Some of them you plop right down, you can just jump right back into the barrel again. Other ones, it's trickier, and you might have to redo the whole stage to get back to that point.
Just get to that point. Yeah, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. That's what makes this game one of the hardest games, honestly.
I agree.
So, not the hardest game, I'm not saying that, but makes it hard, I should say.
Yeah, it adds a different level of difficulty and just frustration to it when you're really working hard trying to get it, and then you have to go all the way back to the beginning of the stage, especially on some of like those green banana ones. But we'll get to that later.
So some of the 2 new treasure and items that are in this game, you got the bear coins.
Yes.
So you're going to need the bear coins for a few things.
Yes.
But the way they hand these bear coins out, you would think you would have to use them a lot more than you do.
They're passing them out like Tic Tacs or something, so you think you're going to need tons of them.
Right.
And the most you can hold is 99.
Correct.
So once we got to that, we were like, okay, I think we're probably, good. We're ready to spend these things. When are we going to spend them?
Yeah, when are we going to actually spend these?
Yeah. Well, you don't spend them too often.
And honestly, like the first time that you really spend them is like the first bear that you see for 50 coins, I believe, right?
Yes, you could get a shell from him, and then eventually you can also get a mirror. I believe the shell is pretty cheap. I want to say it's like 5 coins, and then the mirror is like 50. So really, you don't need more than that for the entire game. There's no other use for the coins other than if you want to gamble with Swanky. But then all you can do is win more coins.
Yeah, you just win more coins.
And you get some bananas, too, but if you want to get extra lives, there's plenty of easier ways to do that in this game.
Right. That was like a little my issue, too. Like, Swanky had I really enjoyed his role in 2, where he would ask you questions about the world you're in.
Yeah, the trivia I liked a lot better.
It was really good. Yeah, this one, it just didn't keep your attention long enough.
And it didn't seem like it had really a lot of point to it. Like, it was fun enough trying to play the games and seeing if you needed to do anything to get them, but the rewards, again, you're just getting more bear coins. Well, okay, what am I going to do with that? Once I have everything, there's really no point in doing it. I think that was something they could have really, put more detail into and more thought. And again, I don't know if that was something that they planned to or not, but it just seems like something that was kind of left unfinished.
I agree. Then also they had, instead of like walking out of the area you're in, they had these level flags. So then to beat a level, you raise the flag by grabbing the rope at the end of the level. And when you leave that level, it would actually have the color of either Kitty or Dixie.
Yeah.
So it'd show you which one beat that level for you.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to see. It sometimes give me an idea of which Kong I was playing more as or favoring more. Which tended to be Kitty, I won't lie.
Right. Then you got the barrels. I'm not going to go too much into the barrels. They're basically the same as last game. The bonus, the auto fire, the TNT, the DK, the invincibility, the tracker barrel. Now, the tracker barrel, I believe, was new for this game, where you could go left and right and up and down with it. So, I'm sorry, just left and right. But still, that was something different for this game. You had your star barrel. You have your steel barrel. You got your Engard barrel, your Squawks barrel, your Squitter barrel, your Booster barrel, and your Ellie barrel. I don't know if the Booster barrel was in the previous games.
I'm not sure.
That was you jump into one of these barrels and you'll be launched to higher ground.
Yeah.
So I think that was new, and you did see it in a few levels. So
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So so let's talk about the worlds and the levels. We're gonna kind of break it down, starting with the first world here.
Yes. So your first world.
Yeah.
Once you've gotten the boat from Funky Kong, you will ride that over to the right, and there's this big landmass over there where your first couple levels are. And that is the first world. It goes by the name of Lake Orangatanga.
Yes! Lake Orangatanga, I love it.
Yes, and much like in some of the other games, well, probably both the other games, the first stage is a good area, not only for getting kind of your feel of the game, but also an area that you'll come back to later on because you can get a lot of extra lives in there.
Yeah.
So if you're getting low on lives, it's a good place to go back, stock up, and then get back to the stage that might be giving you trouble so that you don't have to worry about losing your progress. I mean, you can always save too, of course, but...
Sure.
Yeah.
So Lake Orangatanga, obviously the first one you go into, and this is really the level that I saw that is kind of that more cartoony look to it.
Yeah.
But these levels, I think, are really just a good introduction to some new stuff that you're going to do in the game, but the levels for the most part aren't too gimmicky. Unfortunately, that does not follow.
No.
Not too much after this.
Yeah, the further you get along, the more
really starts getting gimmicky.
Yeah, each stage is kind of like figure, okay, what's the gimmick for this stage, and then how do I get through it as you go farther, which is, in some ways, it's impressive that they came up with so many different ideas, but in the other way, sometimes you're like, can I just have a normal, just regular platforming stage?
Yes. And so Lakeside Limbo is the first world, and kind of keeping the tradition of the extra lives.
Yeah.
There's a ton here. I believe you can get 9, right? We had this down to a science on this
one. Yeah, we were running through. You get through, and then you'd hit start select to do it again once you beat because once you beat a stage, you can exit at any time.
Just like the other ones.
Yep, just with the start select, so you don't have to worry about trying to kill yourself or having to complete the whole stage. You can just do that, and boom, you're good.
Yes. So the levels, we'll go just a little quickly through these. You got Lakeside Limbo, very easy, like water stage. I believe you do go in the water a few times in this, but then you also have Doorstop Dash.
Yep.
This one was kind of interesting. It kind of introduced some new things.
Yeah, you're in like some lumber mill or something, and there's levers that you see that are coming down from the top of the wall that you jump on, and when you do that, they'll open up a door that you need. But the door will slowly close after you fall off the lever, so you have to just get through it before the lever. I should say before the door fully closes. So that's kind of a thing that does come up here and there again.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like the stage itself wasn't bad. Just different. Again, just setting different environments.
And they call this type of level a stilt level.
Oh, got you.
Or I'm sorry, the mill level. The Lakeside Limbo was the stilt level.
Okay, I was going to say, that makes sense. Yes. This would be, yeah.
Then we had Tidal Trouble.
That's similar to the first stage.
It's
another kind of boardwalky.
Yes, a little tougher. I think that's the one where they make you use Kitty's special move to get one of the bonuses in that one.
I think you're right, yes. And you have to... This one has more swimming in it than the other one did.
Yes, that is correct. Then you got Skidda's Row, which is like the first snow stage.
Yeah, which was interesting for them to throw a snow stage in kind of just out of the blue.
Kidding. No kidding. And this one wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Pretty basic, pretty easy. And but still a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
Obviously there's ice.
Yes.
So you're gonna be slipping a little bit, but
slipping and sliding. Yes, you want to be careful to make sure that you're just not going too fast where you could fall off the cliff you didn't mean to, or off the side because you're going so fast, or fall into an enemy more likely.
And then to end the Lake Orangatanga with regular levels is the Murky Mill, and I believe this is the one level where you have to use Ellie the elephant, and
yes,
this is where you find out she's afraid of Sneak.
Yeah, this stage is actually. I would say probably one of the more... I don't even know if I want to say the word hard, but a little more tedious and a little more annoying.
Yeah.
Because of her fear of all the, of the rats, of the sneaks there. It becomes a pain because you are constantly trying to take them out with her, holding the barrel and everything. Because you can't get through without using the Kongs unless you find some kind of glitch or something.
Right.
You have to use her. So it slows down the stage.
Yes.
And you have to plan, because there's areas where you have to hold on to a barrel, run under one of the wasp enemies who you can't kill with it, and then trying to get it without breaking it on them.
Yes.
So it can be a lot of trial and error, but...
And this is the one, too, where Ellie, will not go in the dark, right? She has to...
Well, she will go in the dark. Actually, she's not afraid of the rats in the dark.
Yes.
But there's a lot of lights fixtures on top.
Right.
And if she sees one in the light, that's when she freaks out.
That's when she gets... Okay.
That's the tricky part about it. So yeah, she doesn't mind it being dark and there being a rat there, but if she sees them, she freaks out.
Yes. And this is where the game kind of gets it's not even tough, but like you said, it ramps up the difficulty a little bit here.
Yeah.
Not terrible, though.
It's just a little tedious.
Yep. Yeah. It's a little longer of a level. And then, at the boss for Lake Orangatanga, you get Belcha.
Yes.
Belcha's Barn.
A giant barrel as your first boss.
Yeah, a giant barrel where you have to throw barrels inside his mouth.
Well, what happens is he spits out barrels that go at you, but when you break the barrel, so you got to jump on it, then one of those little bug guys comes out, and you have to jump on the bug guy and then grab him while he's and then throw that in his mouth.
That's right, and then he burps, basically.
He burps and then goes backwards when you hit him. And you have to do that enough times that he'll fall into the hole all the way on the right, and then basically you've beaten him.
Yes.
If you keep failing, he'll eventually push you all the way there. So he won't damage you by touching you, but he'll push you all the way so that you'll fall in the pit on the other side. Of course, you can take damage from the barrels he spits out, as well as the bugs if you mistime things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not the easiest boss ever in Donkey Kong. It takes a little bit to kind of get the rhythm down. He's not hard by any means.
Right, but it's a timing thing.
It is a timing thing. He's a lot tougher than Naughty.
Yes.
You remember Naughty from the first game. So.
I do. Mm-hmm. Taking me back. But yeah, I would agree that once you figure out the timing, the rhythm, you can beat him really quickly, but it takes a little time if you're not used to it.
Yes. So from there, you're going to go to the Kremwood Forest.
Yes, the second world.
Yes, we got the 5 levels in this world are the Barrel Shield Bust Up, which is your first tree level. This is where you're going to find the monkeys throwing their nuts, I guess.
I guess, yeah, whatever they're throwing at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are kind of funny for some reason. I don't know why they're working against us. I thought us apes should be sticking together, but apparently they weren't feeling it. Yes. And yeah, they throw them at you. Obviously, they can do a lot of damage. They're kind of coming out the side of walls and things. There's this weird little kind of up and down on these ropes, because you're going to do a lot of climbing on ropes in this one. There's like a half barrel, a lot of times on the side, that they're throwing that you can hide behind while you're going up, but they move, so you have to kind of move to stick with them.
Yes.
But that can help you stay safe from those monkeys.
You're going to hear that a lot.
Oh, yes. Yes, you will. You'll be hearing it in your dreams, and well, hopefully not your nightmares. But
So, yeah, I would say the difficulty gets turned up a little bit there, just to kind of get used to the whole dynamic of dodging those nuts and then going with the barrels and all that good stuff. So
yeah. Again, it's a lot of just kind of finding your rhythm and you're getting your timing right.
Yes. Then the next one is Riverside Race. Now, this is a very interesting level because you actually, not only you have to beat the level, but you have to beat it in a certain time.
Right.
Which, to my understanding, I don't think we ever had a level like that in Donkey Kong before.
I'm trying to remember, but I can't come up with one where you actually had to, like, try to beat a time on it just to be able to advance. Like, I understand there's ones where stuff might be chasing you or following you that if you're moving quick enough. But this one, there's a number on the bottom tracking your time from the very start of the stage.
Right, like I remember in 2 when you were on the minecart or the roller coaster and the big Kremlin ghost would try to get you. I remember that one. But
right.
Yeah, this one took a little bit, especially to get all the secrets for this one.
Right,
too.
and what's weird about this stage, too, is that not only are you being timed, not only are you trying to beat this, beat the whole stage in a time of less than a minute and 15 seconds, which is interesting in its own right, but you also have, like, these weird bugs that are, like, this swarm of, I don't know if they're supposed to be bees or what they are, that's kind of following, too, so even if you're going too slow through parts of the stage, they can hit you, and every time they hit you, they work just like any other enemy. They'll take out a Kong. So you also have to be moving fast enough that they don't catch you while you're doing this. And they can catch up to you quite a bit, especially when you go into the water and things. So, there's a bunch of different little things kind of coming in. I mean, if you're going fast enough, obviously that solves a couple of problems at once. But yeah, it's a tricky stage.
It really is. I mean,
anytime there's a time where it's going to make you feel a little bit more, just rushed and a little more anxious, I mean, if you're anything like me, so sometimes that could cause you to make some mistakes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This one was like really the first one that kind of made you pause some, movement for a bit.
Yeah.
You're not going to beat this stage like right away. And I'm only saying this for someone who's going into the game first time, not obviously speed runners are going to beat it. But
oh my gosh, yeah. They know all the ins and outs, the glitches, the tricks,
all that good stuff.
But
and then your favorite level's name, Squeals on Wheels.
Squeals on Wheels. A good old time.
Yeah, you got the sneaks running on the hamster cage kind of levels.
Yep, so. Turning those wheels.
Yep, turning those wheels, and you got to basically take them out, I believe.
You do. There's meters in the stage that are that you'll pass by pretty frequently, and they're all red to start out. But every time you take out one of the squeals, one of the bars on it turns from red to green. Mm-hmm. And when you've taken out all of them and all of the bars are green, and then a gate will open up for you, somewhere that will allow you to proceed. So there's several different areas where you have to go through and fill that up, and then eventually it'll get you to the end of the stage. So it's a little bit of just a slight little gimmick to the stage. It's not as intricate as some of them, but you start to see little things like this, little gimmicks that pop up as you go forward.
Yes. I mean, this is where really this Kremwood Forest really starts the real gimmicky type levels.
Yeah.
So, then you got the next one is the Springin' Spiders. This is the one where you get the spiders to basically jump on, use them as platforms, and then kind of jump off of them when they get to like a certain height.
Right.
Yep. So you kind of have to be strategic on when you jump off of the spiders. Springin' Spiders, I believe, was a decently difficult level. Not terribly difficult, but
enough to keep you on on your toes.
That's right. And then you had the bobbing barrel brawl, which is the this is the one where you basically use Ellie the elephant, and then you're kind of throwing the barrels to create more of a
yes, you can jump across. Yeah, this one was interesting too, because this is when I would think of like the suction of that she has. I would think about this primarily because of the stage is grab barrels, you can throw them in there. I didn't think that suck up the water.
Yes,
I didn't realize you could even do that by this point. So it was interesting, and I think most of the stage you are playing as Ellie in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So you're having to run through with her, grabbing the barrels, and whether using them to kill things or using them to cross over the water, she gets a lot of utility in this stage.
Yeah, she does, and I believe there is a bonus level that also kind of uses the same tactic that you're going to have to use mostly in this level. So
yeah.
This Cremwood Forest definitely ain't playing.
It's starting to make you have to
tricky.
Think.
Yes. And the boss, which is Eric, the boss level is called Eric's Ambush.
Yes,
Eric was tough.
He was.
We had trouble with him.
He was a little random at times, and then so he's one where he's a giant spider, fits in with the stage.
Yes,
and he has. You basically have to get a barrel. You have to throw it up and hit him in the face. So his face is down towards the bottom of the screen. He's got his arms all out to the side, and then he's got his backside, his butt, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you can jump up. I think the first barrel you need is on his backside. So you have to jump up and get that, plop back down, throw it, hit him in the face, and then go back up and try to get more barrels. Hitting him enough times so that eventually you KO him, and I think he gets a little bit faster and a little more erratic as you hit him more times, which is common with bosses.
Mm-hmm.
But there's times where we'd be so close to hitting them and then slip up and get killed, and it's just man.
Oh gosh, yeah. It takes a few to understand the patterns of the venom balls. Basically, the green venom balls.
Oh,
once he starts spitting couple of those, right? Yeah,
right.
So
sometimes you can kill them pretty quickly.
Yes.
But again, you have to be really on point and really be jumping around, know exactly where to go. Otherwise, you have to deal with the green balls, which is frustrating.
Yes.
But it takes 4 hits, and if you get those, you're done with stage 2, and you can, breathe a little sigh of relief.
Yes. Which brings us to the third world. Now, what's very interesting about this, I believe, is the first time you can ever pick one world over the other. I don't think we've ever had that in Donkey Kong Country game.
No, I don't think so. Where you can decide if you want to go to the cove. I believe it's Cottontail Cove?
Cotton Top Cove.
Cotton Top. That makes more sense. I don't remember there being a lot of rabbits there. Or the island of Mykonos.
Yes. Mykonos.
Yes. Which when we played, we went to Mykonos first, even though technically the cove is actually the third stage.
Yes, which is strange because Mykonos is closer to Cremwood Forest.
It is.
So you think, Mykonos, what? We got to go to Mykonos first, you know? But Mykonos is way tougher than Cotton Top Cove, though.
I would agree.
It was weird going to the world that had tougher levels and then going downwards a little bit.
Right. So, it didn't make a lot of sense.
Yes. But we'll go, I guess, with Cotton Top Cove because that's the way I guess it actually is.
Yeah.
So the first level is Bazaz's Blockade. This one was... Now, this is the one with the waterfalls, with the kind of the background platforms that you could go through, but you could also kind of jump off. Yeah, this level was kind of confusing at first.
I agree, because there's things in front and there's things behind.
Yes.
So at some point you're like, okay, what can I actually get at, and what do I need to? And then you're trying to kind of work your way up, trying to get through the stage. And it's tricky to know which way to go at first. I think once you get going, it's not so bad, but you do some exploring, kind of going right and left and figuring out which way you actually need to go.
Right.
The stage itself was more confusing than difficult, I feel like, and then kind of once you got a feel for what you needed to do, it became a lot more straightforward.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm totally wrong. I'm really sorry about that. This is actually the first. This is actually a water level. Bazaar's Blockade. This is a water level. We skipped. We skipped one. So Bazaar's Blockade is actually a very easy level. It's the first water level. Really sorry for that. So you really just gotta watch out for the Cocos and the Lurchins in this level, and they're once you get their pattern down, they're pretty easy actually. So I'm really sorry. Skipped ahead. Yes.
Well, this stage is a pretty easy stage, and I think that's another reason it's very easy to not really think about it because really it's just introducing. They're to introduce everybody to the first water stage,
right? Like the full blown water stage.
Yeah, where you got on guard, all that good stuff.
Yes. And we should make note though too. Whenever you get like these full water stages, the DK coins are usually going to be at the end of the level,
right? Where
you basically are no longer in water. So.
Yeah. So then you'll have switched off of on guard if you still have them at this point, and then you just got the coin guy hanging out on dry land.
Yes.
And usually they're pretty easy to get. They're not like too confusing of puzzles either. They're just kind of hanging out. So.
Correct. Now we have the one where I think we're thinking of a Rocket Barrel Ride. And this is where you get those rockets that obviously shoot you up from top, and then you get the background versus the foreground.
Right.
And that can be a little difficult. And
just getting used to it is a little tricky.
Right. So,
but once you kind of get a feel for it, I feel like it's not too bad. It's just strange.
Yeah, it is strange. Because it's just something you'd never really seen in the first two games, really.
And you're going straight vertical, you're not like, it's not like a side scroller where you're going, just left to right the whole time. Now you're going up and, hopefully just up, but sometimes you could fall and, lose your progress because of that and end up getting hurt. So in the rocket barrels, again, it's just a matter of getting used to the idea of how they work and where you need to go. The waterfall theme is interesting too, and does come back into play
quite often.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and even just a couple more stages. I believe there's another one coming up. So
yeah. So then the next one is we're kind of going back to the first world here at Lake Orangutango with Creeping Clasps. This is the one where you have the red barrels, which are the clasps. They're basically going from left to right, and you kind of have to time it so you don't get hit by them on the ropes. So
and then they have and the Niblas in the water too. So
the Niblas are following you. Yep.
Yeah. So this stage can be a little bit, just a little stressful because you're trying to figure out how do I avoid the stuff on top, but how do I not fall right into the Nibble in the water too. So it just gives you that feeling of kind of being really aware of your surroundings.
And then the next level is very similar to the Rocket Barrel Ride. We got the Tracker Barrel Trek, and this is like the first one where you're going to have where you have the left and right barrel, basically. Right. So it's kind of an interesting concept. It's, a lot of these ones where you are kind of scaling up the mountain, basically, levels. I think the toughest things in these ones are really going to be finding the bonus levels. And I think that's what was mostly the toughest part.
Yeah.
I mean, being levels they had some challenge, but I think really trying to find the bonuses were really tough.
And we're so programmed from playing the first two games to be constantly thinking, okay, if I was designing this game, where would I have tried to put a bonus here, or where might I have? So we would sometimes get ourselves killed because we're trying to think, okay, well, they probably put one way off to the side here. Yeah. So I'm going to jump all the way over here, use Dixie's hair thing and try to get all the way over there. And they're like, oh, nope, nothing here. I'm just dead. So sometimes I think we outthought ourselves looking for bonuses and whatnot.
So I know you're going to have a lot of fun kind of explaining this level, which was Fish Food Frenzy.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you kind of give a little explanation of what our friend does?
Yes. So it's another underwater stage, like the first stage in this world. But what's so interesting about this one is you have a nibbler following you the whole time. Not an enemy, but he can become one if you do not keep him fed, or if you feed him things that he doesn't like. In this case, the sea urchins he is not a fan of.
Right.
But he wants to go by and just keep eating other fish. So there's plenty of them, and you literally just have to get him just close enough. He'll eat the fish, he'll stay happy and not turn, homicidal.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you do not feed him enough, or if you feed him, like, the urchins things, he gets pretty upset and turns, like, a bright red, and then he takes a bite out of one of the Kongs, killing them, basically, KOing them. So you have to be really careful, because sometimes there's a lot of fish right around, and sometimes there's a good amount of distance between them. So you can't move too slow, but you also don't want to move so fast that you end up running into things too. So yeah, Nibbler's an interesting one in that stage. It's kind of a fun stage, but it is a little again, a little anxiety-inducing. You're like, where's the next fish?
Yes. Yeah, that was a very interesting concept. I think it was fun, but I think sometimes I don't think you can avoid him not eating an urchin or two.
Right.
You just kind of gotta be quick and find another fish quick.
Yeah.
Before he comes after you.
Yeah, just kind of roll with it as much as you can.
Yes. Yes. So then our boss is, the level is called Squirt's Showdown. We got Squirt. Now this one's an interesting one.
Yes.
I thought Squirt was a lot easier than Eric, actually.
I agree. Once I figured out what his pattern was and what his routine was, yeah, I agree. I think he was a lot easier. You basically just had to avoid the water he was shooting out.
Right, and you play as Ellie the elephant too, which was interesting.
Yeah.
So
and you wait for them, you wait for him to open his eyes, and then you squirt the water, in his eyes, and that's how you damage, or he closes his eyes then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a bad case of contact lenses that are too scratchy or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think it was a much easier boss than Eric, and a much easier boss than the boss in Stage 4.
And I guess, how would you describe Squirt? Is he a snail? A giant snail?
I feel like he's supposed to be, like a giant snail, but it's so strange because you only see, parts of him.
Yeah, he's almost, in the mountain.
Yeah.
So...
And you actually have to, climb up because, there's three different levels of elevation, and you have to get, up to the top so that you can hit the eyes when they open, but then when the water's coming out, you're going down to different levels trying to avoid it, so... Yeah, it gives a little bit of a platforming in the middle of fighting this boss feel, which is interesting.
Right. So
yeah, I think it's a giant snail, though.
Yes, I think, yeah, I mean, it has to be, right? I mean,
I don't know, unless it's some weird alien thing. But yeah, that's my vote. I'm going for snail.
So then, that's Cotton Top Cove. Not too bad.
I thought that one was overall not too bad.
Not too bad besides those, two scaling levels. Other than that, I thought the water ones were pretty easy, so...
Yeah, I agree.
So then we go. Then it brings us to Mechanos, which now this is where things get really gimmicky.
Oh yes,
really gimmicky. So
a lot of factory craziness.
Yes, we start off with Fireball Frenzy. Now this is the first time you're going to see the flying Cheeto balls being shot at you.
Yes, being shot at you by these owl. Look, these owl-looking guys shooting these things that look like flaming Cheeto balls.
Yes.
Which, even if you're hungry, do not go to them, because they will kill you. They'll kill you.
They will. Fireball Frenzy is, not hard per se, but it is different.
Oh, yeah, it introduces you to a different element.
Yes. So... it's interesting. We'll say that. So then the next one is kind of going to be like your minecart level. It's called Demolition Drain Pipe. And
this one was tricky.
This one was tricky.
This one I felt like was difficult at times.
Yes, you're almost like in a bobsled.
Yeah,
or like a almost like a snowmobile, but not a snowmobile. I don't know what it is. Toboggan. That's what it is.
Got you. Yes.
Toboggan. Yeah. So
the kind that we all like to take and ride down in the sewers.
Yes. Yes.
That's really what the Kongs are doing,
right?
I don't know. Whatever they want to do. But yeah,
this one's tough.
It is because it's a stage where it's scrolling for you. You're on rails, basically. You don't get to choose which way you go or slow down and stop. You are constantly moving, and you have to avoid enemies. Particularly, I think it's mostly wasp enemies. And then you have to also, the stage itself becomes a problem because if you run into the side of the stage, it will take a Kong out. Oh. And then there's pits and stuff that you kind of have to try to time your jumping around so that you can fall into them and get out of them before you would hit the side, because again, that will take a Kong out.
Yep.
So it's tough.
It's all about your jumping abilities, and you don't have a lot of time to react.
No, it's a lot of trial and error.
Yes.
You learn when you need to time your jumps so that you don't get killed, and even then sometimes it won't work the way you want it to. So yeah, this was a tough stage. It's fun when you get in a good rhythm. I mean, it just really reminds me a lot of like the minecart stages and stuff from the first game.
Correct.
Only that you're not like jumping from track to track. You're just kind of on one track.
Yes. And the thing was, like, Donkey Kong Country 1, I was really good at the minecart levels. And even 2, I would say I was really good. For whatever reason, I could not do them in this game. I don't know what it was. If like maybe my eyes aren't like what they were at one point, or if they were just tougher. But I feel like they were tougher in this one.
Yeah, and they weren't as fun overall. Like the minecart ones, especially like when you're jumping between like different tracks and things like that, was fun.
Yes.
This one, like, it just felt
frustrating.
Yeah. And again, kind of anxiety inducing.
Yes.
Like that's not to say that I didn't enjoy them at all. I just found like when we were doing sometimes that it was just, I don't know, just not as fun.
Oh.
And sometimes just we wanted to be like, okay, can we get to the next stage because I'm getting sick of trying.
Yeah, exactly. It was so bad that you had to remember like the whole level.
You did.
And I didn't feel like you had to do that in the past games where, like, you had to remember it somewhat, but like it wasn't like, trial by error. I got a little further now. Yeah, I remember this is coming here. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like there was more like levels where you could get lucky and beat it in one swoop.
Sure, yeah.
This game, you might have done it a couple times, but not often.
Yeah, especially as you get further along, the stages are going to feel like they take a lot of trying to. First of all, you're just trying to figure out the stages a lot of time, figuring out what's the gimmick here, how do I work around it, what do I need to do to be successful, and then it's actually like trying to put that into practice. It's like there's a big, it's a lot, like a learning phase and then an actual executing phase, I feel like. And they're not always easy. In fact, a lot of times they're not.
Bro, let me tell you, bro. Okay, you don't even know what's coming, bro. No. But yeah, seriously, you don't, because the next level is your favorite, Ripsaw Rage.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this one was let's say fun. So this one was tough because... This is the one where you've got the saw basically following you right behind you, chopping through the tree, and if it touches you, you lose a Kong.
This one was super hard. There was plenty of time. I mean, I'm talking like the full level, getting the bonus and beating it. It was all hard. There was so many times where you had to make close calls just to get to the next area and kind of rebound.
Yeah, because you do not have a lot of time to make your decisions. Especially when you're trying to jump from one thing to the next as you get further in the stage.
Yeah.
It becomes even trickier. You don't have a lot of time to make your decision, and if you choose wrong or if you're too slow, you're going to get hit.
You're done.
And you're pretty much done.
And then let's talk about the bonus in this stage.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Where you're basically on the saw, right? And you have to get the bananas as you go up.
Yes.
And you can't really move that well. So it's like you have to really get lucky almost, and you have to be at the right place at the right time.
You do. You can't afford to miss too many of them because unlike most of the green banana ones that are just like you're moving around trying to get it, like this, the stage is moving and you don't have a lot of time to make your choices. So if you miss a couple, you're pretty much gonna have to redo it. You're not gonna get it. So
tough.
That one was stressful.
Yeah, it took a bit, and I remember when you got it, you had a lot of relief on your face.
Oh yeah.
And then when I got it, it was the same thing. And,
it's like a hallelujah kind of moment, rather.
Oh gosh. So then the next level we had was Blazing Bazookas, and this is when you're gonna find the what is his name? The Buzz? Is it? No, Crimps. Yeah, Crimps, and I believe that's what his name is. But he's the one that shoots out the bazooka barrels, or I can't remember his name. Why don't I know his name? We just said it, but anyways, you're gonna get the Kremlin that shoots the bazookas.
I think that the name is just Bazooka, actually.
Okay, Bazooka. Okay,
because Crimps are the little guys.
Okay,
the ones that look like claptraps from before.
And in this one, obviously there's going to be a lot of jumping on the barrels that Bazooka throws.
Yeah.
Tough to get. I think it's tough to get the. It is tough to get the bonus levels because you got to use Squitter. Squitter is also in this level, so.
I feel like we get Squitter in a lot of the factory stages.
Yes. For some reason, that's where they like to put him.
That's where he's hanging out.
It's another tough level, though. Like, I can't say it was easy.
Right. No, I agree.
And then, probably one of the oddest stages in the game. One of the oddest stages is Low G Labyrinth.
Yeah. I completely agree. It kind of came out of nowhere, the idea behind it.
And then the low G stands for low gravity.
Right.
So basically it's like you're walking on the moon, I guess.
You can jump higher, but you move a lot slower.
So
yeah, and it's strange because you're moving through a tunnel like you would similar to the one you would have in Demolition Drain Pipe, but you're not on the rails like you were in that one. You're actually just free moving.
Yes.
But you're in basically this gassy looking sewer area.
Yes.
You do get help from both the parrots, Squawks and Quawks. Version.
Okay.
So they're important because you're trying to get through. There's a lot of tight spaces with wasps.
Yes. Lots of wasps.
So you're trying to get through there.
Remembering the wasp patterns.
Yeah, that's huge.
And
one of the funny things that I found out too is that the enemies, apparently Squawk's face, his beak area isn't actually counted part of his hitbox. Ooh. So if an enemy touches just to the part of it, a little bit of his beak, you won't actually get hit. I had no idea this was a thing, but it made it but now knowing that, I think it would make it a little easier to slide through some of those spots. So there you go for anyone who is
you speed runners out there. Your future speed runners.
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, allowed you to get through some tight spaces if you just know how to position him properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a little random
this level, obviously a learning curve to it, and it can be tricky. Not the hardest level, but it's still pretty hard. And Mechanos, that ends that very very hard 5 levels, I would say, for Mechanos.
Yes, and then you get to visit the boss.
The boss, which is Chaos.
Yes,
who called Chaos's Carnage. He's a robot. You don't know who's behind him at this point, but
at this point you just think that he's the Chaos. Whoever is behind it is the one who's in charge of, who's the new leader of the Kremlins.
Yes.
Future spoilers coming up.
Chaos is. I would say he's pretty tough. Yeah, playing him the first time, not the toughest boss, obviously, but I would definitely rank him higher than was it the Squid?
Yeah, I would say he's the highest up to this point.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's a little tougher than Eric too.
And it's weird because you are fighting this giant robot that goes over kind of rides above you, but his rocket boosters or thrusters or whatever will shoot down fire that can hurt you.
Yes.
So you have to figure out when it kind of shoots and make sure you're standing in the right position so you're not going to get hit by it. And then once they stops moving, then like parts will kind of come up that you can jump on to get to his robot head.
Yeah.
And you want to jump off of that, hit that, and then you come back down. You go through another sequence. Each time the sequence gets a little bit longer, adds a little extra to it. But your goal is the same. Wait for the sequence to end. Try to stand in the right spots so that you don't get hit by the exhaust or the rocket boosters, and then get up there, jump on the head. At some point, the head actually comes off, which is insane.
Yes.
And then you see a weird robot head underneath that. But you're also then trying to stay away from the from all of that stuff. And then at the end, once you've hit him enough times, you are victorious. I can't remember if you have to hit it 6 times. I think it's 6 times you have to hit him to beat him.
A little longer than the previous
right
bosses to that point.
Yeah, because I know some of them were only 4 hits.
Right.
And this one Chaos really wanted you to work for
it. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So then when you're done with Mechanos, then you go over to the mountains of K3.
Yes.
So
you're going to get a lot of snowy stuff here.
A lot of snow stuff here. And the first level we got is Crevice Creepers.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yep. So the Claps are the main enemy of this one. And basically it's from one mountainside to the other, and there's a rope in between them. And you'll have them stacked upon stacked. There'll be 3 ropes.
Right.
Stacking on one another. And you have to climb up those ropes. But the problem is that you have the claps that are going left and right. So you have to time it, to get your jumps. But this one, not terrible. I wouldn't say this level is super hard.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Yeah.
I feel like the first stages are generally, for lack of a better term, mood setters for for the stage. So I feel like this one fell into that line too.
Yes. So then the second level that we get is the Tearaway Toboggan. You're back in the toboggan, and this one can be a little tricky. I don't think it's the toughest toboggan level, but
it's
not easy either.
No, again, it's one of those cases where you can be going too fast and not know when to time your jumping. So I feel like it's still a lot of that trial and error to figure out when do I need to hit the button to jump. And if I hit it too early, I might be okay to clear this obstacle, but I might also fall right into the path of an enemy that might damage me. And because, again, it's a stage where it's basically scrolling on rails, you're going straight forward, you have to make a lot of quick decisions. And invariably, you're going to make the wrong ones at times. Yeah. But it's just trial and error.
That's right.
That's the name of the game.
It's tough. I just think these toboggan ones, they made them super tough. So
yeah.
Then next level, you got the Barrel Drop Bounce, which is another return to the I don't even know the waterfall levels. But with this one is you have to jump on these barrels as they're coming down the waterfall, basically, and you have to be pretty quick to move up to the next part. So that's what can be,
it can be a lot of jumping back and forth, trying to figure out, okay, can I make this jump now? Oh, okay, or am I going to get myself killed in the process?
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I liked it once I kind of got a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah. It wasn't terribly hard.
Yeah,
but,
it wasn't as a crazy gimmicky as some of the stages were. Just again, just something to get used to.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and
I liked it.
You also get parry from the animal.
Absolutely, gotta love parry. I always wanted to call him the paralegal for something. I don't know why, but yeah. And again, it's one of those cases is just remembering where he is in relation to you and where enemies are in relation to both of you, so that you don't jump right into the enemy, or as I've even done, jump one of the cogs in the enemy because I was more worried about keeping the bird alive than I was about keeping Kitty and Dixie alive.
Right.
So it makes you think about a couple things at once. So just keep all that in mind.
So next level we have, which is probably one of the levels that may have taken me the longest to beat. I know it's up there. It's called Crack Shot Croc.
Oh,
now this is where you play as Squitter, but the interesting one of this one is the orange Cheeto balls are being fired at you like homing missiles.
Yeah, there's like a target.
It's like a target on you, and they lock in. I had such trouble with this because I was trying to navigate the level, and when you do that, you kind of lose sight of what the homing missile is doing at the same time.
Yeah.
So I just had a lot of problems. I know you didn't have as much problems, but you definitely had some problems with
sure.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing is, like, it's one of these things where you want to lead it because you want to lead the thing that's targeting you, but you also need to be like ready for when it's going to shoot. So you want to lead it, and then it eventually will lock in on a spot and then shoot. So you kind of are trying to lead it, and then stop when you need to and move forward when you need to. And it's tough because you're trying to navigate all these other obstacles.
Yes.
Giant vats of acid, bees, all kinds of fun stuff trying to kill you. So yeah, it is definitely a tricky stage.
Yeah.
One of the funny things about it is you have one of the probably the most unique bonuses there is where one of the bonus barrels you actually are controlling like the target thing and shooting at other enemies.
Defeat all the enemies with the target. That is actually
you gotta bash
cool.
them baddies.
Yes.
So that was interesting. But yeah, I would say it is a weird stage because of that, and it makes you just second guess what you're doing a lot because you're trying to avoid that and every other obstacle that's coming along. So yeah, I would say it's a tough one.
It is. And then they kind of lighten it up a little bit with the next level, Lemguin Lunge.
Yes.
This is just kind of like, they call them Lemguins. They're basically like penguins.
Right.
And you just kind of have to like jump over them. They kind of just come at you like in different waves and different patterns.
Well, what's funny about them too is they come out of like these little holes in the ground, and you can hit them, but like it's usually better if you hit them like right as they're coming out of the holes. For some reason, sometimes I feel like, I don't know why, but I would not take damage when I hit them, and other times I would. But usually, like right when they were coming out of the hole was the safest time to hit them.
Yes.
Otherwise, just try to jump over them and go up. Because they're flinging themselves constantly, like in a straight path towards you.
Right. And I believe like getting the bonuses in this level is not too bad because it's like one's like right at the beginning,
right,
and then one's not too hard to get once you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does this level have a bonus? Halfway point barrel? I don't even know if it did. I feel like there was one that didn't.
There was a stage or two that didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not positive. That's a very good question.
We don't. I just remember like this could have been like one of those levels that didn't have a halfway point to it, but
I know there's definitely one later on that didn't. I'm not sure about this one. That's a good question.
Okay, but anyways, I did pretty good at this one. I think I beat this one like the 4th or 5th try.
Oh, sure.
So this one wasn't too bad for me, but because the Crack Shot Croc took me forever to beat. So.
Yeah, we all have those stages that just, vex us more than other stages.
Oh, this was. So then finally you get to the boss of K3, and it is a giant snowman called Bleak. Now, I hope you've been going to the Swanky Sideshows at this point because basically this is just another game at Swanky Sideshow with a little twist on it. Yeah. So if you're really good at the Swanky Sideshow and you're good at dodging some of the snowball attacks, I feel like you can beat this. You can beat this level relatively quick, but I'll tell you, I'm actually pretty good at the Swanky Sideshow, but I took a little bit to beat this guy because he's tough. Yeah, and he really is.
Unpredictable aspects of it.
There is,
because when you're playing the Swankies game, you're not trying to avoid stuff while also trying to hit, relatively small targets. Mm-hmm. In Swankies, you're just trying to hit the targets. Here, you're also trying to avoid him. And also, he's got his crazy laugh that like some kind of a deranged polar clown or something.
And he actually enjoys getting hit too.
Yeah, he does. Every time you hit him, he does that.
He kind of laughs.
When you hit him the last time, he just does over and over again until he explodes.
Yes,
it's quite the scene.
Oh. And I believe at the one of the last sequences is he stands in the back row, and you really gotta be good with the targeting on him.
I mean, if he shows up too, like in the upper like left, you can't even like hit him because of where you shoot. So you have to wait for him to move around somewhere else, which is a kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And then as you hit him more, then he at some points will actually start like shooting things out of his hat, like too, or you have to just kind of learn where are these things going and how to avoid them. So there can definitely be some advantages if you can memorize what his routine is. But yeah, he was tricky.
Yes.
Very different than any other boss battle because it's basically, hey, what would it be like if we turned a mini game into a boss battle? Well, there you have it.
There it is. Yep, there it is.
But yeah, he was interesting. It's always fun when you finally hit him last time and you hear him chuckle and blow up and you finally beat the stage.
Yes. I feel like he's probably a little tougher than Chaos, the first Chaos.
It's and they're just so different. It's kind of hard to compare
like
him
night
to a
and
different
day
one.
difference between them.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying.
But that's the end of K3. I feel it's a little easier than Mechanos.
Yeah.
Besides Crackshot Croc, I think Crackshot Croc and Tearaway Toboggan for me were definitely the toughest of the bunch here. But then you're done with K3 finally, and then we're going on to the Razor Ridge, and you're gonna start off with pretty tough level actually called Buzzard Barrage, and this is the one where you're gonna take over as Quacks. So this is like in a cave. And you basically, you kind of have to go dodge up and down. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Can Quacks shoot the nut?
He cannot.
Okay, so yeah, you can't even like.
Quacks' only way of really attacking is grabbing a barrel with his feet
and then
dropping it, or just turning and bumping into somebody because it'll be like slightly behind you, down and behind you, so you have to fight like that, which is different.
I remember this level now. It's just like a lot of dodging and moving up and down.
Yes,
and
this is the one that introduces the copters, the flying Kremlins that were the bane of my existence.
Yeah,
I just level could not seem to not get hit by them. It was very frustrating.
This one was not easy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there's some very tight windows you have to try to go through at times too, and it's very easy to get to lose Kongs and all that kind of stuff. So that one was tough.
Wow. And then you had for the second level of Razor Ridge, you had Kong fused cliffs. Now this one's another gimmick one where you're climbing a rope, but the end of the rope is set on fire.
Yes.
So basically you have to climb pretty quickly while looking to the left and right for like bonus items and whatnot. And
to make your decisions.
This level is not the easiest, not the toughest, but man, it's certainly a lot of tribulation and trials for this.
You have to make a lot of quick choices. And of course, because we were bonus barrel obsessed, we would oftentimes be jumping from side to side. We're like, there's probably one over here.
Yes.
And sometimes we'd be right. Sometimes we'd be wrong, and then we would lose a call.
And, then we had, I think, a little easier level. I think the toughest one about this one was the bonuses, but we had Floodlit Fish. Yeah, this is the one where you play as Engard, and you have to basically go into the Gleaming Breams.
Yeah.
And basically they have to light your way. Not a super tricky level, but what got me confused was the pass that you had to take to try to find the bonus barrels. You could get lost because it's kind of dark in the areas. So so that's why I agree with this one.
The bonuses were the tricky part. The stage itself was pretty straightforward. As long as you are hitting the big fish, you know what was going on around you. You could see everything. The bonuses were the tricky part, definitely. Just trying to make sure you could figure out how to get to each one.
Exactly. So not like the toughest level, but certainly, not the easiest either. So then going on to the next level, we had Pothole Panic. This one you got Squawks. You actually get to ride squawks, but you also have to watch out for copters.
Yes.
And then you have to watch out for the booty birds. So, yeah, this one I don't really remember too much. I think there was obviously you had to watch out for the
there's a lot of those
barrel bombs. Bombs.
There's a lot of different barrels in there. Some of the purple ones,
Yes.
which I think are the kachukas, or those the green ones? No, the purple ones.
Purple
are
ones
the
are the
kachukas.
kachukas,
So
yeah.
those are the ones who are like trying to throw bombs at you with the hand coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, those guys were annoying. I didn't like that. I didn't care for them.
Yeah, and the booty bird is the one bird who like he looks like a like a giant robin.
Yeah,
And
usually
then he
has some
shrinks
kind of
for,
an
like,
item.
Some item, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times they give out like Kong letters.
Yes, I would say that more
Yeah.
so than anything. This level, oh gosh, is this the one with the copter at the end of the level where you would like fly from one side to the end, and it was very hard to get that blast bonus?
It very well maybe. I'm trying to remember if this is that one. I think it might be.
Ugh.
But yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
Oh geez, I did not like that one. So.
This is also one where you. Yeah, exactly. It just reminds me a little bit of what's it called? So this is what I'm thinking of, because you also are the elephant at one point during the stage too. So I feel like Pothole Panic is a lot like Animal Antics from 2, where you have to be a bunch of different animals.
Oh,
so you're not just like
I remember that.
So you're like swapping from one to another one at different points of the stage, which is weird.
Yes.
Now Animal Antics was definitely, I feel like, was a lot
tougher.
It was a lot tougher.
Yeah, this one wasn't too bad.
Yeah, definitely better than that one.
Some sequences are a little tougher than others, but
sure.
Yeah, definitely not as bad as that. But I remember when we played it, we're like, oh geez, this is bringing back memories of Animal Antics.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh geez. So then the next level is called Ropey Rumpus. Not Ropey Rampage from the first game, but Ropey Rumpus. This one had a lot of the ropes. The one rope to the other rope on the two mountains going side to side. Basically,
yes.
You do get Perry, the parallel bird.
I didn't like this stage. I don't know why, but it really annoyed me. I died a lot in this stage.
Yeah, it is tough. There's a lot of you got to be really quick. Yeah, there's really not much to say about it.
Yeah,
it's tough, obviously, at this point in the game. So then you get to your boss battle, Barbus Barrier. So this one was, oh gosh, it's like a giant like sea urchin, basically.
Right.
And you have to, he kind of goes up and down, and you have, like, when he's exposed, you have to hit him.
Yes.
But he does some of the enemy, or some of the things that he throws out there are tough.
Yeah.
He kind of like explodes. You have to kill the two mini urchins before you can attack him. And he does it in different patterns.
Yes.
So it can be a little tough. I mean, I took a little bit to beat him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought he was pretty tough.
Well, parts of it is like you have to figure out how to get them to target those like seashells too, so that you want them to go into the enemies, to hit the enemies, so that you can open her up again for the second time. And it's just tough because I feel like each time you hit the boss, the next phase of what it is different than the last one.
Yeah.
So it becomes tricky, and just trying to get in the right position, because these seashells are trying to target you, trying to zoom in on you, and you need to get them at a point where they'll lock into the direction they're going in, and then move out of the way so you don't get hit, but so that it hits the urchins, the lurchins that they pushed out.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little putsy. I liked it. I didn't mind it once I knew what I needed to do, but for trying to figure out what I needed to do took a while.
Yes. So I think at this point, Bleak and Barbos were pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really depends on what you're a little better at, which one you'll find more difficult. But
sure.
They're both pretty difficult. So then, once you beat, Razor Ridge, which Razor Ridge was definitely tough, but I still think like Mechanos had a little.
I think
bit of
overall
advantage on that.
overall Mechanos was the tougher and more frustrating.
Yes.
I feel like these stages, for the most part, were more straightforward, even when the gimmicks showed up.
Yes, like Floodlight Fish and stuff like that. They didn't feel like they were too bad. But yeah, so then you go to what you think is basically the final level.
Right.
It's called Chaos Core. The first one you have is Conveyor Rope Clash. Now, Conveyor Rope Clash is pretty tough.
Yes. Oh, the stage was annoying.
Yeah, very, very. You got a lot of those green barrels. You got a lot of buzzes.
Stuff constantly trying to knock you off the edge.
Yes, that's what makes it tough. You have to make quick decisions.
Yeah.
And especially if you want like bonus barrels. Oh man.
Right. And knowing when you need to jump and where you need to jump and when you need to jump, because otherwise those green guys will just keep hitting you until you fall off the side.
Yeah.
Like you can tell relatively quickly once you're kind of screwed and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to die here because there's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, that stage is annoying. And took a lot of times. A lot of attempts before I finally was able to put that one in the books.
So then after that, you get kind of a little throwback to the second game here with Creepy Caverns. You have Ghost Barrels returning.
Yes.
So that's
spooky.
Very interesting. I actually didn't think this level was too bad.
Yeah.
There were parts, especially like the bonus barrels, but you definitely had to learn the timing of the ghost barrels because what would happen was they would be a physical barrel and then they would not be a physical barrel.
Yes.
So you wouldn't be in the barrels too long, or you had to plan your jump around.
You had to know when to jump, and some of them, a lot of them would switch between which direction also they were going, and so you had to time that right to be like, okay, I'm going to try to hit this one.
Yes.
Hopefully I got this timing right so it'll put me in the direction I want and not just throw me into the enemy there.
and you also get Squitter here, and the bonus barrel here is pretty tough with Squitter. I will say that.
I agree. It took a lot of attempts before, even when I knew what I needed to do, it still took a lot of attempts before I could actually get it.
Yes.
So a lot of trying and trying some more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not easy. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this one will give you PTSD. Lightning Lookout.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Rough level. Very gimmicky.
Yeah.
So basically, this is another level where you kind of want to keep on moving because lightning will strike you.
Yeah.
You can tell where it's going to strike you, correct? I think but it's not easy because it's like.
Well, the problem is sometimes you just have nothing to stop you from getting, like, if you have an enemy above you, like, the lightning can hit the enemy and you can be okay.
Yes.
But the problem is that sometimes you're just an open area and you're going to get hit, and if you go into the water, which there is water stages, you will get hit by the lightning there for sure.
Right.
Which, so it's frustrating because you're really trying to get through and you're trying to plan things out. And you sometimes, just despite the best of your intentions, you're still getting fried by that stuff.
Exactly.
And that was what was so frustrating. Sometimes I feel like I'm on a great run, I'm doing everything right, and then boom, I get hit, and I'd be back to square one again.
Yeah. I mean, this one gave me a lot of trouble, obviously. But I remember this one was a nightmare for you.
Yeah, this one made me very upset. Because I'd be on a really good run, and then I'd have to go into the water, like cross over somewhere, and then I'd be like, okay, come on. And then of course, it would strike, and I would, so.
Yeah, this level sucked. I'm sorry.
Definitely a little traumatic at times.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of fun to play as. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So then we had Coin Dozer Clamber, which is Oh gosh, this one was pretty hard if I remember as well.
Yes, because again, this is one where people are trying to knock you off the
Knock you
side.
into the yep.
In this case, you have
the side,
people
yeah.
that, you have the coins, but without the DK coins to get from them. And
Yes.
they just try to run into you and knock you up. You can't hurt them. You have to try to jump past them. Sometimes you can jump and land on top of their shield.
Yes.
And then move from there. But then again, you need to be in the right direction. You need to be in the right distance. So
Correct.
yeah, I felt like Dixie was extra useful in this one because of her hair jump. You could kind of get them into the position you needed to.
Yeah, you really had to use her in a lot of parts.
Yeah.
To for long distance jumps and kind of just throw off the clambers. So
Right.
or the crimps, bazookas, and recoils.
Yeah. And a lot of these platforms that they're on, there's not a lot to them, so you're trying to use a very small amount of space to make good, decisions and good jumps.
Right.
So yeah, that one was annoying.
Yeah, it's very. And then it just keeps on getting more annoying with Poisonous Pipeline, where
Yes.
so similar to low G, Poisonous Pipeline, everything was inverted. That means down was up,
Yep.
up was down, left was right, and right was left. So
Yep. And you're swimming.
and you're swimming. Yeah, this one was. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this takes so many times. You do get in garden here, but oh jeez, this was terrible. The bonus barrel, remember the bonus barrel? In this
I
one?
remember. Yes.
Oh, this was a very, very hard level. And when I say the one reason why this game took so long was once you got to this level, I think we were beating maybe one level per time we hung
session,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. Maybe two if we were lucky, but I mean, jeez, this was
Yeah,
not
this
easy.
definitely was one of those ones that slowed us down quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, this getting used to the inverted controls came a little bit quicker to me. I'm just because of some games that I've played where you've had to do that.
Yeah.
But it definitely is kind of it definitely messes with your mind trying to think of, okay, what do I need to do here? And especially when you're trying to go fast. And
Yes.
sometimes you still need to go fast.
Yes.
But yeah, it was tricky. Especially, it just depends on the way your mind works with that kind of stuff, And for some people, it would be really easy. I think for most people, it would be pretty tricky.
Yeah, I just think after a point, I had to really think about my movements with the controller.
Right. And you realize what it must be like for people who've never played a video game to pick up and have to try to pick up something fast. Because, we and people who play video games for, since we were little kids and everything, we know what we need to do without having to really think about it. You
Yeah.
have to think about, which way am I going to hit the control stick to go right? I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
I know which button I need to hit.
Yeah.
When you start second guessing just the stuff to make you move, it's like if you ever played a game where you have inverted controls, just a lot, up and down a lot of times for shooters and things.
Yeah, shooters use that a lot.
And it's
Yeah.
one of those things that you really kind of have to reprogram your brain.
You really do. It's just not fun. It just took a long time. So then you get to what it's not the final stage, but it kind of is the final stage of the game. Castle Chaos.
Yes.
You fight Chaos one more time, Chaos the robot, and then you defeat him, and then you get the halfway point, thankfully.
Yes.
And then it turns out to be Baron K. Rulenstein. So now,
yes.
I don't know if this is the same as King K. Rool.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is, okay, so he's got this new kind of alter ego kind of going on
moniker
now.
about him.
King K. Rool just didn't really work, so now he's got Baron K. Rulenstein.
Yes.
So, yeah, so this one I actually think was... Because it's longer. It's you got to fight him for a long time.
You do.
And I feel like just because of that, for me, he was tougher. I think I took a little longer to beat the first one versus the second one.
Oh, gotcha.
But it also helped me because you fought him first.
Right.
The second time, so...
You could see more of his patterns and
Right.
everything. Yeah.
Right.
I agree. And then because it was such a new... just addition of things in a weird fight. all of the fights with King K. Rool or Baron K. Rulenstein have always been weird and gimmicky and getting used to what you have to do.
Yes.
And this one definitely, I think, really played into it. There was a lot of that kind of weirdness to it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Once you get used to it, I feel like the second one was definitely easier.
Yes.
Because it really is just a continuation of the first one, with some couple of extra things that you have to be aware of. But once you fought him the first time, you know what you need to do to damage him.
Right.
And then basically it's just a matter of avoiding his little tricks and everything. So
yeah, it's more like the way you fight him. Like the first and second game was a little different, but this one it's more of like going from left side, dodging the attack, then going to the right side kind of thing. So
and then trying to hit him with the backpack thingy. The jetpack thing. The jetpack thing was kind of a small window of what actually counts as you hitting it in the right spot, which was interesting. But you make it work.
That's right.
Sometimes you're sure you hit it and it doesn't count it, and you're a little annoyed, but such is life.
That's right. So then one thing we didn't really mention was when you have your water vehicles, you have to do certain things with these water vehicles to open up secret areas or caves. Mm-hmm. And that is how you get to the Lost World, which is called Krematoa.
Yes.
And so basically, once you've beaten the main 7 worlds, or 6 worlds, then you're going to go to your 7th, which is the Lost World, which is similar to what we had in Donkey Kong Country 2.
Right.
But the first level, and it's brought me a lot of PTSD, and it's brought you a lot of PTSD.
Oh, yeah. It's one of the worst stages in the game as far as difficulty.
I think it is the worst stage in the game.
Yeah, I could definitely see a case
that
for
or
that.
the one with the homing missiles, but Stampede Sprint. This level is a beast, and I'll tell you it's a beast because you start off with Ellie, and she gets scared by the rats, sneaks. And you have to like memorize everything that happens in this level to a T.
Yeah.
And I will tell you one of the bonuses you have to get to.
You're right.
You have one shot to beat it.
Yep.
And if you don't, you got to start over from the
whole
level.
Freaking stage.
There's no halfway points in this level.
Yeah, there's not one. Yeah. And that's another thing that's a big pain. There's no checkpoint.
Yes.
So running through trying to beat the stage is harder enough. Running through trying to beat it and not lose, the bird that you need, your pally there, because he turns into a bonus barrel.
Yes, yes.
If you can get him to the very end,
yes,
where the sign is that turns him into that.
Oh.
So if you're trying to get the 103%, which. If you got to this point, I'm assuming you would want to.
Right.
If you're going to get to the hidden level, then you might as well. But yeah, that stage was just a nightmare. Beating it was awesome, and then when we realized what we had to do after that was almost like a punch in the gut.
Yeah.
She's like, we did it, what? And you're like, wait, no.
Oh, gosh.
That's the thing about these Lost World levels, too, is that they have more than 2 bonus barrels, which, and all the stages before that,
most of them have 3.
2 has been that, and most of these have like 3.
It's just another bonus another surprise they lay on you.
Yeah.
It's also Clough and Clout's debut for this level.
Ooh.
So yeah.
That's right.
Or Cuff and Clout, I'm sorry, that's what they're called.
The brothers.
The brothers,
just jump around and smash stuff.
That's right. So yeah, this level is going to it's going to frustrate you. It's going to test your will.
Yes.
It's going to
it's just part of what you
got to
gotta
break you down. I didn't know if we would ever beat that level. I think we were on that level for surely 2 nights.
Yeah,
maybe
we finally got everything figured out.
Yeah. So that had 3 bonus areas. Then you got the Crisscross Cliffs. Hard level, obviously. Not as hard as Stampede Sprint.
Yeah, I agree.
This one actually only had 2 bonus levels in it.
Yeah,
2 bonus barrels. So that was a nice change of pace. I think this one I actually got past pretty quick. quickly, if I remember
so
correctly.
too. Especially after the last one, this one felt like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, no kidding.
There are some switch barrels in here that you have to use at a time, like because there are bazookas.
Yes,
and basically, you jump on the regular steel kegs at times that you can go upwards, and then sometimes you need to turn them by hitting the switch barrels into like the dynamite TNT barrels that you can use to destroy things, particularly like the wasps, the buzzes in the area. Mm-hmm. And then, so you got to switch between the two and figure out what you need to get all the way up to beat the stage. But yeah, I really felt like this one, especially after the last one, so much nicer.
I also forgot to say too, when you fight Baron K. Rulenstein the first time, you do get the credits for that.
Oh,
so
yes.
I did forgot to mention that. So you don't get the credits when you beat the Lost World, but you do get it by beating the Chaos Core. So
that's true.
I just wanted to make that
good point.
Yeah. So then the third level in the Lost World is called Tyrant Twin Tussle, and
the Tyrant Twins, who are tussling, are our good friends.
Yes, it's all about jumping, timing.
Yeah, cuff and clouts.
Yes. This level can be a little challenging. Definitely not like Stampede Sprint, but it can take a little bit.
This one took me a little while, particularly to get the bonuses, because I had trouble sometimes figuring out where I needed to stand or when I needed to jump to not get hit by cuff and clouts.
Yes.
So this stage actually took me longer than I expected it to.
Yeah.
Because I really found it hard not to take damage in the stage.
Yeah, it's tough, and those things run at you pretty fast.
Yeah.
And you don't get a lot of time to react, and sometimes when you jump, you're going to have like two sets of them, so you kind of have to know like what's my next
That's
move?
a good point.
Like where's their halfway point? How far do they go?
Right, and there's points where some of them kind of overlap a little bit too. Right. And that makes it really difficult.
Oh, yeah, and then you really have to kind of time the jumps and when you're going to go, and it can be rough. This level, though, I believe, was a pain in the butt, too. Swoopy Salvo.
Yes.
Another level in the trees.
Another tree stage.
This level was very hard. It had 3 bonuses. I remember one of the bonuses in particular.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Swoopy Salvo. You play as Squawks. I believe the whole level. For most of the level.
Right, because you're flying around trying to get around all this stuff.
This is
all
tough.
those.
You
really see a lot of the swoopies, the wood pecker things. And
yes.
In this case, they are still very useful for things, but they also can be very very annoying. Much harder to dodge sometimes than they were in the other stages because there's so many of them.
Right.
Coming down, and if they hit you with their beaks, you still take damage. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And the bonuses just were tough in the stage.
Oh, this is tough.
Some of those barrels were hard to get to.
Yeah. They were very tough.
Yeah.
And that was like half the battle for one of them. Oh,
seriously, just getting there, and then you get there, and then you realize, I got to go back around because I died.
Tough level, though,
if
you're including the bonuses. It's a really tough level, and
yeah, absolutely.
I don't envy you.
Having to go through.
Yeah. Here's another level that I struggled with was Rocket Rush.
This was such a weird stage.
It was.
Because this is basically your last non-boss battle stage of the game.
Yep.
And you're in a rocket. Yes. Again, you're coming down and up depending on where you're going, and it's strange because you're trying to make sure you have enough fuel to get through it. So there's these little fuel barrels. And then you're also trying to go as fast as you can without crashing into things.
Yes.
The fun thing is you do kill like buzzes.
Yes, you do get to kill the buzzes.
Yeah.
The red ones. Yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
Which is awesome.
But the weird thing is that the controls are kind of like strangely inverted in their own way. I'm trying to think if it's the right or the left that's inverted. something like that is strange.
Yes, it is inverted.
Yeah, and I have no idea why, but if you push left, it's going to make you go right.
Yep.
To make it right, you're going to go left.
It's like the poisonous pipeline
kind
of thing.
But the only thing you can control is your left and right, and that's what happens. It's so strange.
I believe it's after the halfway point that it becomes inverted, because one you're going up, and then the other one you're going down, correctly?
I remember, yeah. I just remember noticing that it was weird. Since it's only one left and right, it's it's a little bit easier to be used to, but still, it's going at a fast pace, so it's tough too, because you can run into things, and especially as you're getting closer to the end, you really can't afford to make too many mistakes, because you'll run out of fuel and then drop to your death.
Correct.
You have to kind of plan, because a lot of times you have these narrow spaces you can go in between cliffs, and then you'll get past that part, and then you'll be like having to go all the way to the other side of the screen to go between these other paths. So, yeah, you have to, again, get used to it and kind of get used to the feel of how far to one side you need to go, how much do you need to angle, so that you can keep from bumping into things too often, because you do it too much, and you'll run out of fuel and you'll be dead, which is not ideal.
I just want to do a little fun fact about this level. This is one of 2 levels where both Dixie and Kitty do their crying and tantrum on screen at the same time if both get injured.
Oh, so that's funny.
That is kind of cool.
That makes sense, yeah.
So the good thing about this level is there are no bonus barrels, which one of the only good things about this level, and the DK coins at the end, obviously, so it's not too bad. But this level gave me a lot of trouble, and took me like all night to beat this one. So, I know you had a little easier time with this one.
I had a run early on that I got really lucky with too. That got me through it.
That's huge though. If you can get to that halfway point relatively quickly.
Yeah. And then sometimes just getting lucky with the timing, or just making the right, guess really worked out well for me.
Yes.
But yeah, that was a very different stage. But yeah, not too bad.
And then we get the final boss of Baron K. Rulenstein comes back. You knew he would if you beat the second one fully, and
he just won't stop.
The Nautilus.
Yes.
So I think the main problem with this one for you, obviously, because I saw you beat it, and we kind of looked it up, like how the heck do you do this? Was how do you beat him, or like how do you damage him, basically?
Yes,
that was the first part,
and then
because it's a little awkward, you have to throw a barrel through the roof of the submarine, basically,
right?
And then he's in the background flying from left and right, and you'll hit him that way. But the really hard part was one of the ending sequences when there's a part where you don't pick up the barrel. You don't want to pick up the barrel because there's going to be electric currents.
Yeah, he has
going
like
left and right,
electrodes down there, like a one that's a little bit taller and one that's a little bit underneath. And once he starts firing from like the top one, you're like, okay, well that's fine, I can get that. Once he starts doing it from the bottom and the top, you're like, there's no way to avoid this. What do I do?
Yes.
And then, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. And then you also get a conveyor belt on the ground too, which goes left and right, which I feel like at times you need to get a little lucky at this one. I feel like I got really lucky with the conveyor belt the time I beat it. I think it took 6 or 7 tries, but I also got to see like how he was doing with when you were beating him, so
yeah, it was interesting because you learn you need this barrel in between, but you can't be too close to one side. You can't be like in the middle because the lightning bolt will still hit you. You have to pick the side and hope that you guess right, like you said.
Yes.
And if you do, that's awesome. If you don't, you're gonna lose a Kong, which is really frustrating.
Yes. Oh gosh. And so this is where you got Diddy and Donkey the first time you beat him.
Right.
So the first time you beat Chaos Core, which is the first time you see Baron K. Rulenstein, you get Diddy and Donkey back, basically.
Right.
The second time, he just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like disappears. but he's not officially beaten. So there's like actually a
Yeah.
third way you're supposed to beat this. So remember how we were talking about those banana birds?
Yes, those little weirdos.
Yeah, you gotta find all the banana birds, and the majority of them are going to be in the caves.
Yes,
Where you have to do like a game of Simon Says, basically. And you have to repeat the button sequence.
Right.
Which can be tough towards the later parts. Yeah.
Yes, because as you have gotten more banana birds rescued, the pattern becomes longer. So
Yes.
you're having to remember more. Now, if you want to like write them down as they're played, you could do that and make it a lot easier.
Yes.
But we were just trying to do it from memory, and early on they're easy. Later on, when you have, I think they go up to like 6 or 7 in a row. It doesn't sound like that much, but when you're watching it and trying to figure out what it is, it's easy to be so focused on later parts that you all of a sudden start second guessing what you heard for the earlier parts.
Ugh.
So, yeah, from just my own experiences, they get pretty tough as you've done more. So, I mean, you can always retry them. There's no real penalty to messing them up, other than just feeling frustrated and feeling a little stupid if you're me.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a little time. Can be a little bit time consuming.
Yes. And then once you beat Baron K. Rulenstein the second time, so you get the gyrocopter. Yeah. And that's how you can get the rest of the banana birds, by finding the hidden caves, making trades with the brothers bears, and they're all over. You got to do a couple of them, and that's how you get the banana birds. But then you find the banana queen. The banana queen is the mother of the banana birds.
Yes.
She can only be encountered once Dixie and Kitty earn the gyrocopter and fly into the clouds, where she was sealed away by Baron K. Rulenstein. Once the Kongs return with every banana bird, they sing and free the banana queen from her barrier. And then she also basically has said that King K. Rool has basically put a spell on her.
Yeah.
And once she's free, she basically chases King K. Rool out of I don't know, Donkey Kong Forever. I don't know. She chases him around throughout the whole world. You see
he's on some weird like raft like thing.
Yeah, he's on like a raft, and then she's like chasing him, and they kind of have the whole ending sequence, and then when you finally like kind of trap him in the egg, right? You get him in the egg. Yes. You get the ending.
Yep.
And then you see Cranky and Funky kind of going water skiing in the background. So
they're having a good time.
Yeah.
So and that's Donkey Kong Country 3.
That's the end. Yes. That is it. I mean, yeah, that's it. That completes the trilogy. No no surprise, no to be continued or anything. That's it. Yeah.
No, the end with a question mark at the end.
Correct.
At the end of it, like some games like to do.
So, I mean, what were your, I guess, before we go on the scores, what are your overall thoughts of Donkey Kong Country 3?
I liked it. There are things that I liked better about Donkey Kong Country 2. And mostly that I mean, there were gimmicky stages. One thing that I didn't like about Donkey Kong Country 3 as much was that I felt like there were so many gimmicks going on from each stage. And I understand they probably wanted to try to keep things extra fresh. After the first 2 games, not wanting to just feel like every stage is just a normal like platform or a side scroller. So, but that being said, a lot of the things that they did, a lot of the random gimmicks, I actually did really enjoy.
Yes.
There were a lot of fun ones. And
yes.
There was the occasional one that I was just like, okay, this is annoying, but
Yeah.
That's just how it is. Even in someone's favorite movie, there's scenes they might not like as much or lines they might not like as much. It's just how it goes.
Right.
But I loved the controls of the game. I loved the characters. And all the things you can do with them. I liked some of the puzzles and different things. So overall, I really did enjoy the game a lot.
Yeah, there was some new aspects that were never in 1 or 2. And, the whole the brothers bear, putting them in the games. The bear coins, we talked about them. They weren't really needed, but oh well. They were there.
Yeah, they were something that could have definitely been implemented more.
Mm-hmm. And really, I honestly think that the game felt a little rushed in some areas. With, I don't know, I just feel like they came off Donkey Kong Country 2 so strong. This game wasn't bad by any means, but it just felt like they gave us still a Donkey Kong game, but they like turned up the gimmicks 100%.
Yeah.
And it kind of got like, it was challenging. I would say like throughout all the Donkey Kong games, I would say probably from start to finish, this might have been the hardest game. I don't think it had the toughest. I don't know if it had the toughest level of any Donkey Kong game, but
I would agree that's probably still in 2.
I think 2 still got it beat, but this game was gimmicks galore. But I did like some of the new stuff that they tried.
Yeah,
they don't want to keep doing the same game. I enjoyed that aspect, but for some of it, it feel like kind of rushed to me. The soundtrack wasn't as good, but it was still worthy of it being a Donkey Kong Country game.
Right.
So I don't know if I really enjoyed the story as much. I liked that it was King K. Rool, but I don't know the Baron K. Rulenstein gimmick that he's kind of going with.
It did seem a little strange.
It was a little strange.
And just a little kind of out of nowhere.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah.
So
I guess let's get to scores.
Yeah, let's get the scores going. Yes. So let's go with the graphics. What would you rate the graphics? I
would say the graphics were very good.
Yeah.
They were definitely in line with what we've seen before. That kind of 3D rendering, almost like slightly claymation-y feel to it that sometimes they have.
Yeah.
So that was really good, in line with what we've seen before. I didn't think that it was like a giant improvement from Donkey Kong Country 2, but not that it really needed to be.
Right.
So I would say, for graphics, I would give it, I'm trying to remember if I did letters or if I gave grades or if I gave numbers. It's been that long since we played one of these. So I'm going to give it a B minus, only because of the time.
Yes.
And only because I feel like it didn't graphically move the series forward more.
Yeah.
It was still very good, very pretty. I really like what they did. They just didn't really jump much forward, if at all, from Donkey Kong Country 2.
I agree. Yeah. I thought the graphics were just they were good, obviously, but they didn't do anything different or better than 2. I think they're actually kind of slightly down. The only real visually stunning level that I thought was really good was the ones with the Cheeto balls.
Those were.
So I thought those ones actually looked pretty cool. But other than that, I mean, they weren't bad, but it was a little cartoony. So I'm gonna go like a 7 out of 10.
Okay,
so we'll go 7 out of 10. What did you think of the sound?
Sound was good. I liked the sound. The songs really grew on you after a while.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it before, though, pretty well. Like you said, the sound was good. Music was good. I liked the random sounds of the enemies and things, including the crazy snowman boss who just ha ha ha. But again, I didn't think the sound was quite as good as, well, not like the sound specifically, but the soundtrack. Wasn't quite as good as 2 or, even 1 I really liked a lot. The music, it was very, just
1
really brought you
was
into
very
it.
Good too.
So I am going to say that I'm going to give this one a C+.
All right.
I think it was good. I think it was better than average, but I think it was probably, out of all 3 of the games in the series, the sounds that I'm going to find the least, that are going to stick with me the least. I'm not going to be sitting, around starting to sing a song from there. I have a feeling, just randomly. They were good. They played into it, but they weren't as good as the other ones.
Well, for sound for me, like when you go on YouTube and you look at when you see symphonies playing like Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 songs, I mean, that stuck with people. You don't really see them, play anything from 3 really.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the loss of like David Wise not really being on this more often.
Sure.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5. There was some really memorable ones, I thought.
Sure.
But none of the ones that were like very atmospheric and really like put you into the level, really.
Yeah.
So
and it's tough because you come to expect a specific certain kind of sound, and then when they don't have the guy who's been the main guy there for, the majority of it.
Right.
It puts them up in an uphill climb as it is.
Yes. Okay, so what did you think of difficulty?
Difficulty was high.
Yes.
To this day, I'm still not sure which one I think is the more difficult game, this or 2.
Yeah.
And a couple things factor into that. The fact that we've already, played through 1 and 2, got all the stuff, unlocked there, means that our skills are more honed than it would be if we played this game before we played 2. I bet you that we would find this one to be the more difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, again, like the most difficult stage I still think is in 2. So saying difficulty as, do I think that a high difficulty score should correlate to a high difficulty rating?
Yeah.
I think that the game is very difficult because you're constantly learning a new gimmick. You're constantly learning, how to switch up your timing. So I'm going to say the game is definitely a very difficult game, especially for someone who's not used to these kind of games. If you're coming in and not having played 1 or 2, I would say go back and play 1 at least.
Yeah.
So as far as if you're looking for a good challenge, this game will give it to you. So I'm going to give it a B for that.
Yes.
Because it's hard. At times it can feel frustrating. But I never felt like we were in a position where I felt like, okay, we're not going to be able to figure this out.
The only one that I thought that might be was Stampede Sprint.
Sure.
Only because, like, how tough it was just to beat the level, but then to get that last bonus one where you couldn't die or whatever. Yeah.
That was the time where I was
kind of questioning
definitely
something.
at my least confident. But but then we came back. We did it the next play. We got it almost immediately.
We got it immediately. Yeah,
so it's just time away.
Right, exactly.
But so I'd say a B for its difficulty.
Yeah,
it's high, but it's doable and it's rewarding when you overcome things.
Right. I'm going to say for difficulty, I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. It's a pretty difficult game, not impossible, but I think for like an average kid, I think this might be tough. I think it might be tough. I know 2 was tough, but this one was really tough. If you're not including 2's Lost World levels, obviously, but this game overall was very tough. There was a lot of challenging ones.
Yeah,
the homing missile one and Mechano or K3 was one that I would like to forget too.
Sure.
Yeah, this game was tough. 8 out of 10. Replayability. What would you go there?
I think it's interesting because once you've beaten it and you've gotten everything, there's really not as much reason to go back unless you're trying to do a speed run or try to exploit other things like that. So as much as I really enjoyed playing it, I don't see myself going back to play it anytime soon. You know, and that's kind of the same for for the other games. I could see myself playing it if other people were, but I can't see myself going out on my own and being like, okay, I'm going to go pull this up and play through the whole thing again. Not that it's not fun, and if you've just beaten the game and haven't done the Lost Worlds yet and gone back and got all the banana birds and everything, there'd be a lot. But since we set out to do that right from the beginning, I feel like that will affect how I would view this as being a replayable game for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the Donkey Kong games is unless you know exactly what you need to unlock everything to get to that percentage, and you go through and you beat it, most people are probably not going to have gotten everything, which gives you a higher level of replayability. So I would say replayability for the general person who's coming in here and not trying, to reach that specific goal of getting everything the first time. I would say there's a good replayability, so I'm going to give it a B-.
Okay.
For that. Your average person, and I'm not saying I'm above average, I'm just saying person who's playing it as, coming from a casual perspective, should get at least 2 playthroughs out of this game, I would think. One to beat it and one to, master it and get everything unlocked at least. So,
sure.
Yeah.
There is one thing that this game does have is they have more secret codes than some of the last 2 games have.
Yeah.
But replayability for me This game is not nostalgic for me. As weird as that sounds, because if 1 and 2 are.
Right.
I thought, those two are masterpieces. I don't know if this game is a masterpiece.
That's fair.
And I enjoyed it, though. I just don't know how much I'm going to go back and do these levels over again.
Right.
I might beat it one more time, but I'm not... this is not on the high scale for me. So I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10 for this one.
That's fair.
I don't know. I just had some issues, and I'll talk about that with my overall score. But
sure.
Fun level.
Yes, I thought it was
level.
very fun still. Mm-hmm. I liked the exploration aspect of a lot of it. I like that. I think that since we had played the other ones and kind of knew a lot of like the mechanics of things and how they like to hide things, and made it fun for us too because we were constantly trying to think of, okay, where are they putting stuff?
Yes.
Where are they trying to hide, this bonus barrel?
Yes.
If I dropped out here, will I find it? So that helped too.
Yes.
The gimmicks sometimes added to the fun. Sometimes I felt like detracted from it a little bit, depending on which particular gimmick it was. There are definitely stages where I'm like, okay, can we just get through this thing and be done with it so I don't have to do this ever again? But there are other ones where I'm like, man, I wish they had done more, more stages like this. So I would say for fun, I'm going to give it a solid B. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed a lot of it. I really felt like when you finish something that was tough, you really feel like you had a sense of accomplishment too.
Sure.
And every time moving past stuff was really cool. So I really did enjoy it overall. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a B.
All right. I with this level with this game for me, I had a lot of fun playing it. I still felt like we were playing a Donkey Kong Country game.
Right.
Even though I didn't like it as much as the first two, it was still a lot of fun. Like, I never lost that enjoyment. I think when we did finally beat the levels, there was a lot of sense of pride and you accomplished something.
Absolutely.
So in that way, I'm going to give it a 7.7 out of 10.
Okay.
I still think it was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it, and to finish,
absolutely, to do a full trilogy is pretty fun, pretty cool.
Right. So, and that's going to lead us into the overall score for this.
Yeah. I would say my overall score for the game is going to be a B minus. I really enjoyed it. I found the challenge to be rewarding and never to the point wherever I felt like I was so discouraged that I'm like, okay, this is just never going to happen.
Yeah.
I felt encouraged in most cases, even when I was making mistakes or things like that. I was always interested in trying to figure out, okay, what can I do better to get around this, or what do I need to do to solve a puzzle, figure out, okay, I know I can get this coin. How can I try to, figure out how to do it? Like, I'll try to throw the barrel here, see if I can hit this to unlock this. Oh, that didn't work? Okay, what else can I come up with? And sometimes it was fun kind of us just discussing and trying to figure out, okay, kind of brainstorming ideas for things. What if we tried this? So, yeah, I really enjoyed the game a lot. Again, it was just a one thing where it's not quite up to the level of the second one, in my opinion. And the nostalgia from the first one makes the first one outrank this one to me as well. Mm-hmm. But it's not by a ton, Yeah. And it still feels like it's worthy of being a DK country game. So yeah, I'm going to give it a B minus. I liked it a lot. It certainly wasn't a game that, like I said, I'm going to go running back to play again anytime soon. But yeah, I thought it was fun, and I would recommend it to anybody who enjoys Donkey Kong country games and wants a very unique, constantly changing challenge.
Yes. Well, very good. When I'm giving an overall grade for this, one thing that I guess I didn't like was generally we had the storyline set for us like right at the beginning of the game.
Sure.
In the first one, you had the banana horde that was all stolen. Second one, you had the note in the pirate ship. I don't know if we got anything to start this with Diddy and Donkey.
Point.
You
kind of just dropped into the game as Dixie.
Right.
Like if you read the instruction manual and you take it from, okay, we're here now at this point, and the next thing that happens is in the instruction manual says that Dixie went over to see, Wrinkly Kong.
Right.
And then she told her to go over to Funky Kong.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, but, you have to think of, like, 20 years after after a game's been released, 25 years or whatever. I mean, not everybody still even has their instruction manual. Most people are thinking, okay, I need to go back and read this to set the scene.
Yeah.
So that's a very good point.
I would have liked something like a little cutscene or anything just to kind of give the...
Yeah.
Okay, who's this Chaos person?
Well,
I would have liked to see that.
That's a very good point, because Chaos in general, like, when we fought him, I just thought it was a random boss.
Yes.
I didn't realize that this was supposed to be, like, the main bad
guy.
The
main bad guy, yeah.
In light of that and the story being kind of poorly told, I actually think I'm going to drop my grade down to a C+.
Oh, okay.
Because I was, as we started shifting, I was starting to think about that. I'm like, yeah, the story is not really explained ahead of time.
Yes.
And it's not really clearly, like, evolved as you go through most of the game. When you get to the end, all of a sudden you're like, oh, the banana bird mom has been sealed away, and Chaos was actually somebody else hiding behind the whole time, but Chaos was not just a random boss. It was supposed to be the new ruler of it. Yeah, that kind of takes away. I still think the rest of what I said is true. I just think the overall grade, I feel like I need to drop a little because of the poor storytelling.
Sure. I almost feel like it would have been better that the banana bird would have been shown to us right away. Because he's still sealed anyway.
Yeah, you don't even know it exists.
Like, you don't even know he's there. Like, why do we have all these banana birds? So, overall, that was one of my issues with it. Another one of my issues was the worlds. While they were cool, I felt like the levels jumped around a lot more than they did in previous games. Where the previous games, they made more sense.
Right.
This one, it's like... We kind of got we got a snow level in the first world.
Yeah, it just felt really out of place.
Yeah, a lot of them were out of place. And, I mean, I guess you could say they kind of worked, but I would have liked to see more consistency like the first two. So, that was one of my issues. David Wise not being really involved in the game, I think, hurt.
Sure.
Not having Denny and Donkey obviously hurt. Having said all the negatives, I enjoyed the bears. I thought they were very funny.
Yes.
I liked the whole banana bird collections. I liked the DK coin not being so hard this time. You could basically find it relatively easy.
And then it was just figuring out what you needed to do to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was still a Donkey Kong Country game. Still had a lot of fun playing it. But, the first one I think I rated a 9.0, and the second one I think I rated a 9.5. So this one I'm actually going to give it a 7.7.
Okay.
That's a very trendy number here, but in between a C and a C+. Yeah. So, 7.7. I'm glad we did it after all these years.
Absolutely.
Ended the trilogy. A lot of fun still. But, I guess I'm excited for something new in this Donkey Kong,
Donkey Kong
as a good
world.
Guy world. Yeah. So, that'll 7.7 from me, and you're giving it a C+.
C+, yeah.
Okay, interesting. So we're pretty even
I think we're
around
pretty close.
there.
Pretty close.
About what we thought of it. All right, so that wraps up Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble.
Yep, the Super Nintendo trilogy of Donkey Kong Countries.
Yeah. So we got a couple things coming down the pipeline.
That's right. A couple irons in the fire there.
Yes, a couple irons in the fire. I haven't started yet, but the 10th game we're going to be doing.
Yes.
Maybe we'll say the beat 'em up first. We're going to be doing a beat 'em up.
Yep.
Probably won't take long at all. I would imagine this beat 'em up episode.
I think you can expect it with in a lot less than a full year.
Yes.
I would say within a month or so is. Would be very doable.
Right. We're going to be doing Final Fight.
Yes.
So Final Fight is very highly regarded, one of the best beat 'em ups of all time.
Absolutely, a very iconic series.
Yes, very iconic.
One of the first games that I ever got for the Super Nintendo was Final Fight the Christmas that I got the Super Nintendo.
Oh, that's very cool.
We got Super Mario World and we got Final Fight.
Wow. And there's so many ways you can play that game.
Yes. So we haven't exactly figured out specifically.
Yeah, we don't know which version we're going to play yet. Because if we do the arcade version, we could just keep popping in the credits. Which
doesn't seem,
I don't know if that's going to be the best way to play that game, but we may do it. We'll see.
We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
The Super Nintendo version was only one player as well, which means that we could play it separately, but it's one of those things that I think a real beat 'em up is the most fun when you play with two people.
Yeah, with two
or more
people,
yeah.
and you can kind of see their moves and powers and all that sort of thing. So, so we got that, and then we also got another game, which is going to be more of a, I believe it's a Japanese RPG, correct?
It is.
Okay.
In fact, it didn't originally come out in America. The first Earthbound game.
Yes.
Well, really, it's Earthbound Beginnings, it's called in a lot of places. Otherwise, released in Japan as Mother.
Yes.
A lot of people are familiar with Earthbound.
Yes.
Which in Japan was Mother 2.
Yes.
But yeah, the Super Nintendo game, that is an absolute classic.
Yes.
So we are playing the game that's first in the series.
Yes.
And that's on the Famicom, or for us, we're playing it on the Virtual Console.
Yes.
So yeah, very excited about that. That game introduces a lot of fun things to RPGs, a lot of comedy, a lot of more of a modern feel. So very excited for that.
Yes, and it's based in the USA, which is very interesting.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're going to be doing Earthbound Beginnings. I will be playing it on the Wii U Virtual Console. You will be playing it on the
Nintendo Switch Online. They have one for each system, like a collection of games, and I will be playing it on the NES.
That's interesting. I'm very excited to kind of start that game because I literally have no clue. I've never played any of the Earthbounds, but
you are in for a treat, my friend.
I'm very excited. I've read some things about the difficulty of this game, so it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, everyone says the gem of the series is the Earthbound Super Nintendo, but
but even like the problem, I think the problem with those was a lot of availability wasn't the same for us here in America as it was in Japan. Like Mother 3 still has not been technically localized in America. You can get like a translated fan translation from Japanese to English, like a cartridge of that. But get your butts working here, Nintendo. Translate and release those for the Virtual Console.
Right. No kidding.
That's another podcast for another time.
So yeah, I think it'll be good too because I have no nostalgia with Earthbound.
Yeah.
So Earthbound Beginnings is going to be like perfect to me. You know, I'm not going to compare it to anything. So
well, it's funny because I played the second one first, the one that came out in America. Earthbound. I played Mother 3.
Yes.
And then now I'm playing the first one. Finally. So it'll be interesting to see how things kind of tie together storyline wise, and if there's like a lot of little nods to other things that come down the line, or vice versa. So it's be very cool.
Right. So expect that that Final Fight episode is going to be coming out probably pretty quickly. Yeah. And Earthbound, well, we're gonna start it up right now, and we'll see how this goes.
Exactly.
And I'm excited. New challenge.
Yes, absolutely. We want to tackle all kinds of different genres,
Exactly. So, this episode has gone about 2 hours and 36 minutes. If you have stayed till the end, thank you.
Yes.
Please hit the like and subscribe.
Yes.
Please do that. You will get notified of every video that we come out with.
Yes.
And please let us know what you want us to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're just kind of picking games that we're kind of familiar with, but if you have suggestion that you think we would like, or any
any hidden gems or stuff like that.
That's recommendations, really what we should do with the podcast, maybe a Q&A or something like that.
Sure.
There's also potential other episodes we could do.
Absolutely.
Not even just I guess video game reviews. We could do other things too. So leave it in the comments.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with us.
Yes, thank you. This has been another episode of the Retro Review crew of Donkey Kong Country 3. Travis signing out.
Yep. Hurley signing out.
That's right. We'll see you next time.
Yes, have a good one.
Bye-bye.